What's up, San Diego?
San Diego, turn it up. From the dugout to the sidelines, from the front office to the fan in the stands, this is where San Diego sports comes to be heard.
College athletics is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love this stuff.
He's not just talking about the game, he's driving the conversation, breaking it down, calling it out, and saying what everyone else won't.
They start licking their chops, man, when they hear like, oh, look at all these guys the Padres could potentially trade.
This is the voice San Diego sports trusts on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We're your favorite show.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
Think about the children, the family show.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Friday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's a City Connect Friday. It's about ready to get going here for a Padres-Dodgers series this weekend. Always a fun time at Petco Park. But where we are with this series, I think this is where we have to start today's show. Because to me, obviously, this series is always more fun. This series is going to be electric at Petco Park. It always is. This series is always great for the fans, right? Going to the games. And so from that, this series is, in fact, a big deal. But at the same time, when we're talking about the Padres and where they're at right now in the standings and what they have to do before the trade deadline and what they have to do to make the wild card and what their overall situation is for this season, it's just like another game for them. So we have to look at this series as, yes, it's going to be fun, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be overhyped, right? It doesn't need to be a series that is do or die every single night. I mean, right now, I think you got to stick to the task at hand, and that is trying to go into July the same way you did last year, in which you have the same record because you went 500 in the month of June compared to going 500 in the month of May. Last year in the month of June, there were 2 games under 500 in that month, trying to keep the pace for the season, trying to keep the pace for the wild card. And I honestly think, I think that the series against the Cubs is probably more important right now than the series against the Dodgers. Look, it's a rematch, right? You went 1-2 against them. They had an opportunity to really, I mean, honestly, I thought the Padres had a good opportunity to win that series against LA. But as I see it, I honestly think the series next week is more important, but you got to try to rack up wins here. So this series, Frank, is always fun for the fans. You got to get into it. But as we talked about with Bob Scanlon, as we've talked about this week, this can't be a series where you're acting like it's your World Series. You just got to go out there and take care of business against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, it's not a playoff series. It really is not. You need to focus on yourself right now. Forget about who you're playing. Just focus on keeping that positive momentum that you gained from the Atlanta series going forward. Forget about the fact that it's the Dodgers. Just focus inward and what you need to do there.
That's the storyline today, and that was kind of like what the message was in today's, in an article by Kevin Acee about you got to try to stack up wins, you got to try to rack up wins. I mean, this is obviously the biggest stretch of the season right now, and we talked about that at the beginning of June, did we not? I mean, we knew that these 4 series in a row, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Chicago, Los Angeles, was going to be a tough stretch. And I think that's what made that series in Texas so frustrating. I think that's what made the series in St. Louis so frustrating was we knew going into that road trip that they needed to have a pretty good road trip, and they went 4-5. And this past Monday, it was a brutal start to the week because it was they just choked away the game against Texas on Sunday. They had an opportunity to win on Friday. They jumped out to a big lead, couldn't handle it. And that's why I was so irritated on Monday, as were a lot of fans, about the Padres. What a difference a couple of days make, Frank, when you sweep the Atlanta Braves. You feel that confidence a little bit. I mean, it's been a frustrating stretch where San Diego has struggled to win consecutive games. They went nearly 2 months without winning back-to-back series. And the Padres finally found that spark, I think, by sweeping Atlanta at Petco Park this week. And that sweep is important because not only the opponent of Atlanta you're going to have to deal with in the National League, and they came in as the best team in baseball at the time, but because it came at a time when the Padres desperately needed proof that they could play consistent winning baseball, obviously going into the trade deadline. San Diego's next 17 games represent one of the toughest portions of the schedule. 7 games against the 2-time defending World Series champion Dodgers, a rematch with the Chicago Cubs, a team that eliminated the Padres in last year's wild card series, a series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are chasing them in the National League West, and a matchup with the defending AL champion Toronto Blue Jays. That's what you have going into the All-Star break. This stretch could determine whether or not the Padres become aggressive at the deadline or whether or not they might trade at the margins. I highly doubt it's going to be a situation where they struggle so mightily that they decide not to buy at the deadline. But this is the most important stretch of the season right now. So I know I'm kind of going back and forth on like the series against the Dodgers in this particular stretch. I view it more, Frank, as the stretch going into the All-Star break more than just they got to play the Dodgers 7 times.
Agreed. Yeah, and this is also the last time the Dodgers are going to be here this year. Then you're going to see them only one more time in the second half of the season. It'll be up in LA. I mean, it's an important. It's not necessarily that this series isn't important or the series next weekend isn't important. It comes within a run of series that are crucial to this season. So yes, this series is important, but not for the typical Padre Dodger reasons.
Yeah. It's an important series because it's the next series. That's why it's an important series. I mean, I tell you what, they take 2 out of 3 from LA though, and they go 5-1 in this homestand. That's a very impressive homestand for this Padres team. Incredibly impressive homestand for this Padres team. So we'll see how they do against LA. I would imagine it's going to be a rowdy bunch down there at Petco Park for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And tonight, again, we're going to continue this conversation later on the show. But tonight's a big step because tonight you get to see Walker Buehler go against his former team, right? You got Walker Buehler going against Roki Sasaki. That looks like a good opportunity for the Padres, especially the way Roki's been pitching and the way Walker Buehler's been pitching. I can't wait for this matchup out of all the matchups this weekend. And I think this one leans more Padres tonight than maybe tomorrow and Sunday. I mean, tonight's matchup, I think, favors the Padres with Walker Buehler going against Roki Sasaki. Saturday, I think you got to give the nod to Yamamoto against Vasquez, the way Vasquez has been pitching and the fact that Yamamoto's been great. And then Sunday, I do like the Padres a little bit in terms of the pitching matchup. Michael King with the way he pitched on Monday versus Emmett Sheehan. I mean, this is an interesting weekend where I think this is one of the first times you actually get a favorable series in terms of pitching matchups. I like the Padres in 2 of these 3 series just based on the pitching matchup.
So yeah, it's solid for sure. I mean, you find a way. Hold on, let me see what I forget off the top of my head what the pitching matchup is.
It's Walker Buehler tonight versus Sasaki.
Yeah, Sasaki versus Buehler, Yamamoto versus Vasquez, Sheehan versus King. Yeah, if you look at it just on paper, that's 2 out of 3 for sure at the very least, and it depends on what kind of night you get out of Randy Vasquez. We've seen him struggle recently. We've seen him have his issues, his command issues recently. But yeah, you look at Walker Buehler should win this game tonight, or at least give you a chance to win. Michael King should give you a chance to win on Sunday against Emmett Sheehan. So yeah, 2 out of 3. If the offense does what it's supposed to do and the pitchers pitch to what their seasons have shown so far, this is a winnable series.
I think it's very much a winnable series. I mean, it was a winnable series last time. I mean, you were like a pickoff play away from winning that series, right? Against LA when they were here. I mean, hopefully the Padres can rise to the occasion. The team's a little bit different, obviously, with some young guys in this lineup now for the Pods, but hopefully some help on the horizon. Josh Stein was on with the morning show today as part of the manager report. We're going to get to that. He had an injury update on both Luis Camposano and on Jake Cronenworth. We'll get to that later on in the show. We're going to be talking Padres, Dodgers the whole day. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We also will dive into why the Padres need to start stacking wins right now as they head into the All-Star break. We'll get to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Off and running on a Friday on San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, it happened, Frank. The big event that we've been leading up to this point, a big reason why we were doing these updates to inform people about NASCAR coming to San Diego. It has come to San Diego, and what a fun, eventful weekend here in America's finest city, starting with the Truck Series, onto the O'Reilly Series, and then the Cup Series, NASCAR Cup Chase, if you will. All three events, I thought, were awesome to watch, awesome to be a part of, and based on the people we've talked to at NASCAR, a big success for NASCAR coming back to Southern California.
Yeah, and this may say the NASCAR update, but it's also a NASCAR motorsports update. So let's get it out of the way. Christian Lundgaard won at Indy. It won in Indy at Road America. Anyway, moving on now. Bless you. It was absolutely incredible this weekend. NASCAR was very, very happy with how everything went. San Diego appeared to be very, very happy with how everything went as well. And from what reports are, it's reportedly a multi-year deal here. And depending upon world affairs and whether or not the Navy is down for it.
How active does that runway need to be?
Yeah, exactly. How it looks as though they could be coming back. And the rumor is they're aiming for 4th of July or as close as they possibly can.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, the 4th of July weekend. I mean, this year, the 4th of July is on a Saturday, so I would imagine the race day would be on the 4th of July, potentially. But I think overall, it was a fun time. I think San Diego really enjoyed the race this weekend. I had a blast being able to go to my first race here in San Diego. And I think a couple of things checked boxes of why this is a success in San Diego. And I think the first one was, this is a race that counts in the standings. This is the highest level of NASCAR stock cars. Sorry, I was blanking on the stock cars. This is the highest level stock car racing you can get with the trucks, and being part of NASCAR and not having like the Wayland series or some of like the lower level ones come here. I think the military aspect was great. The weather was awesome over the weekend, but there was a lot of reasons why this turned out to be a success and why it's not surprising that the people of NASCAR really liked being here.
No, and all of the races were fantastic too. That's a major thing. I mean, you could have had this big, awesome 3-mile track, all the pomp and circumstance that comes along with it, and then just had 3 clunker races that are like, oh God, this was one and done, baby. We're out. But no, I think you compare it to the Chicago circuit. I think this was a lot better than the Chicago circuit. Now, the Chicago circuit was run in the middle of downtown Chicago, a bunch of 90-degree corners, where here you're able to mix it up a little bit. You still had your 90-degree corners, but you had your fast sweepers. You had a bunch of different ways to and basically when you got to the runway, just a blank slate on what you could imagine potentially doing. You had a great truck race that was just pure carnage as those guys were just trying to figure their way around the racetrack. The O'Reilly Series race was fantastic. 3 guys right down at the end, putting it all on the line to try to win. And then you had 2 teammates battling it out on Sunday trying to win. And all the craziness and the unpredictability that you had from these weekends also. I mean, the walls moving on incidents, though, that's kind of just something you have to live with when it comes to a non-permanent racetrack like Coronado. You had a fan jump on the racetrack. You had a manhole cover go through one of the cars. A couple of very big wrecks, both in the same spot. Sam Mayer took an incredibly hard hit on Saturday. I mean, there is so much to dissect from this weekend that a 5 or even 10-minute video here couldn't even scratch the surface of.
And, we talked about it, or we did on the show about, I got to meet William Byron's parents and got to hear a lot of stories from William Byron's parents about William Byron becoming a NASCAR driver and his connection with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon and some other fun stories too that were on there. It was really cool. You got to see Chase Elliott walking through Coronado, being here in town. NASCAR's and racing's biggest stars being here in San Diego was great. And it drove a lot of celebrities down here too. I think this is a event that was great for NASCAR. We got the report back, 125,000 people over the weekend, throughout the entire weekend showing up to the race. Percentage of female attendees through the roof, the percentage of Hispanic viewers through the roof, the percentage of first-time NASCAR fans through the roof. These are all
10:17 on a Friday. We're broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. So we have a lot to get to today on the program. We're going to dive into, obviously, more Padres baseball. We're going to talk about Walker Buehler facing the Dodgers for the first time in a Padres uniform. We're going to talk about yesterday's CBA discussions. We're going to dive into the World Cup date. Obviously, Team USA last night. That was a heartbreaker, huh? Good thing they didn't really need anything.
Yeah, this is why the sport will kill you, especially in this tournament.
Good thing they didn't need that win yesterday. We will talk with Sammy Lev at 12:35. He will join us, the Padres pre- and post-game host. We'll talk Padres and Dodgers with him. We're going to talk with Drake Hills at 1:35 to get his take on the World Cup after, we kind of wrap up the group stage here the next couple of days to get ready for the round of 32. A lot of games are starting to solidify already. A lot of games are already been clinched, if you will. So we're talked a lot about that with Drake coming up at 1:35. So we got a lot of different things that we're going to get into in today's show. But I do want to start with, obviously, Padres baseball. They're getting ready for the Dodgers coming up this weekend. And there was a lot of interesting notes from Kevin Acee this morning in the Union Tribune. And a lot of it was the Padres don't need to worry about LA. They need to start stacking up wins. And a lot of that had to do with like really a trade deadline primer, if you will. And Michael King made some comments about his trust in AJ Preller. We have the Padres focused on the day-to-day more so than like worried about the trade deadline. But we talked about in the last segment, stacking wins makes this series important, not just because you're playing the Dodgers, Frank. I got him. What are you eating? Why are you eating right now? Guy's hungry. Guy's been up early in the morning. What is that? Cheerios? What, do you want some milk with those? Anyway, Michael King had some comments in the paper about AJ Preller. He said, part of the reason why I signed here is because I felt like he was always going to put a winning product on the field. He obviously enjoys living in San Diego. His family started their life here. He believes Preller will always try to build a winner. I mean,
players clearly believe AJ Preller will make moves, but does that create unrealistic expectations? I don't think it creates unrealistic expectations. I think what it does is I think it helps drive getting players here to San Diego. And I think that really shows what guys at the major league level are focused on of, we got to make sure our major league team is the best it possibly could be. And, I think that leads to the team that you kind of have. And it's a big reason why they don't have minor leaguers coming up readily available all the time. I mean, they're constantly trying to make the major league team improved upon. And so with that, I think that leads to a lot of players potentially signing here in San Diego and trusting in AJ Preller making a lot of noise at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and this is a team that needs to make some moves, if not to fill out the roster, to recover from some guys who've gotten hurt for long term. I don't see AJ Preller standing. I don't see AJ Preller standing put at the trade deadline. I really don't. That's his perfect time to shine every single season. And right now, if you want to be able to use AJ Preller to his maximum capabilities, you need to start racking up wins. And that's by doing it against the Dodgers. That's by doing that against the Cubs. That's by doing that against the Dodgers again. It's by doing it against Arizona and Toronto to set yourself up for the best way and your best chance for AJ Preller to do what he does with the most impact that he can give you.
So let's look at this from a standpoint of the players know about what's on the horizon usually at the trade deadline, but what are they actually thinking about the trade deadline? According to this same report, Padres aren't thinking about the deadline. They are thinking about everything else while everyone else is thinking about the deadline. Manager Craig Stammen emphasized that the team is focused on the present. Better defense, better base running, elite bullpen performance, improved starting pitching, better offensive starts. And his message has been, take care of today and everything else will take care of itself, which that sounds great. But the reality is these next 17 games are kind of a playoff audition. I mean, I know they're not officially playoff games. They're going to have that vibe. And these are the teams that you're going to have to see most likely in the postseason. I know the Padres are 9 games behind the Dodgers in the West but they're a half game out of a wild card spot. The margin for error is definitely shrinking for this team, and they have to do well in these 17 games against playoff caliber teams.
Yeah, they've got a lot of playoff caliber opponents coming up right now before you get to that lull coming in towards the end of the season with teams that are out of it. So yeah, you really need to start figuring out how you can get the best out of everyone right now. So this way, the games that are supposed to be easier do come a little bit easier for you.
I don't think they need to do. I think these next 17 games before the All-Star break, I think they have to do well in these just to help them out for the postseason, not better their chances at the trade deadline. Because I think, as you mentioned, I think AJ Preller is buying regardless.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that would really lead to him not buying unless it was a catastrophic collapse with multiple injuries, which I don't think will be the case. But when people go like, oh, they have to prove that it's worth adding pieces to this team, I don't buy that with AJ Preller, nor do I buy that with his current Padres team. I think right now, racking up the wins is important for making it easier in the second half and building yourself a cushion more so than we got to be in a spot to have AJ Preller make some moves. And the thing is a lot of the problems that the Padres have are starting to become better because the offense is starting to show signs of life. Starting pitching is still a big question. You've seen some sparks with that. We're going to get to that in a second. But, for months, the biggest concern had been the offense. But from the end of April to June 7th, Padres OPS 594, worst in Major League Baseball. Over the last 15 games, their OPS improved to 717, and it's now up to 22nd Major League Baseball. It's still not great, but it's a good sign that it's trending upward. And that's kind of been the biggest talking point from the organization is, yeah, we think we have a roster that can win. We think eventually it's going to start turning it around. And I think with them turning it around right now, it's going to make it easier at the deadline where you don't have to make a bunch of moves to save the roster. You just might have to make a couple of moves to enhance the roster that you currently have. So it's great to see that the offense is trending in the right direction.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic to see. And for this team coming into this part of the schedule, it is perfect timing for them to really start getting it going. Unfortunately, you're now dealing with a starting rotation that's getting a little bit weaker and a bullpen that's showing some cracks. But the offense can kind of mask that, especially on a night where the pitchers do have it going.
Fernando, 18-game on-base streak, 324 average, 370 on base, 500 slug during that stretch. He is showing a lot more power recently. Question still remains, though, can Tatis become the consistent superstar level offensive force the Padres need? I just think it's a different type of superstar level performer now. Instead of the home runs, it's just elite hitting all over the place. It's extra base hits. It's getting on base at a high clip. I mean, I think he's just kind of changed his style of play, but I still consider it to be superstar level. Is that fair? I think that's fair.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't think so either.
No, he's played solidly. He's played solid. He's still hitting the ball hard because he's not hitting home runs the way he used to. I don't think that doesn't make him a superstar.
I agree. I don't think superstars are only home run hitters. I think they're like elite, high-level performers and elite athletes. The numbers for Manny Machado are super bizarre. 184 batting average on the season, which has risen a lot. That's back to worst in Major League Baseball because of Dansby Swanson got to play the Mets. And you know what? You got what you wanted, Frank.
I did. You know
got what you wanted. You can't be that upset about it.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's just no, I'm not. I'm very happy about it. I wish they would have gone a little bit further, but that's...
And done it a little bit earlier.
A lot of bit earlier. But yeah, no, I'm still the fact that Dansby Swanson had like 15 RBIs in a 36-hour period, still not fun.
No, not great, Bob.
Nope.
Not great. Did you wake up were you ecstatic when you woke up this morning?
Oh, God, yeah. I could cry when I saw that this morning.
He could cry.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. One down, one to go for Mets fans at this point.
Yes. And that is basically what every single Met fan Twitter has said. One down, one to go.
All right. So Manny's season struggles have been apparent. We've seen them. 184 average, worst in Major League Baseball. But recently, the two-game winning hit. He had 2-game winning hits this last week. Team leading 14 home runs, 835 OPS over his last 15 games. Obviously, his issue is not whether he is capable. It is whether the production returns consistently. And I think you're starting to see that right now with Manny Machado. And that's the biggest guy in this group that need to start turning things around. And it's great that you're seeing a positive regression to the mean.
Yes. Yeah. He is getting it turned around. He has figured it out. He's worked his swing issues out enough to where now it's starting to look more and more like the old Manny. And because of that, you're starting to see the old Manny production.
Signs of life out of Jackson Merrill, 699 OPS recently after obviously a very inconsistent season. Padres desperately need Jackson to become the middle of the order threat for them. That's why they gave him that contract extension, but he's at least been contributing in other ways for the Padres. Xander Bogaerts slowly starting to improve again, 698 OPS recently. Padres definitely need Xander to provide a little bit more offensively, but he's done a great job providing that veteran leadership. They just need a little bit more production. But the surprising contributor during this has been Samad Taylor. Team best 894 OPS over the recent stretch. And the question is this a real offensive adjustment for him or this team or just a small sample. I still think it's a small sample for Samad Taylor, but throughout the course of the season, you need guys like Samad to come up and do a good job. You need guys like, Jace Bowen, who I know hasn't really done that yet, to come up and fill in the gaps. Guys like Ty France, guys like Gavin Sheets. Those are the players that step up a little bit for small amounts of time while the Stars struggle. And I think Samad Taylor's done a beautiful job doing that since he got called up.
Yeah, you're always going to need that 27th guy who's going to be able to come up and make some noise. For me, I'm just thinking back for the Mets in 2015 for that World Series run. It wasn't, of course, Yoenis Cespedes being good was a major part of it, but it was also big contributions from Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson. Those were basically your Samad Taylor right now. Guys you least expected making an impact far above what they were expected or intended to make.
Starting pitching still remains the biggest question for this team. I mean, we've had injury updates, a lot. But the bullpen has carried this team. I was listening back to the roundtable yesterday. I was leaving Passing League. I was driving up to San Clemente where I went for dinner after Passing League at El Camino, and the roundtable was on. And listening back to it, it was the whole, what did you think about the Padres at this halfway point of the season kind of question, where they're supposed to be, a little bit better, a little bit worse. The starting pitching going into the season, you kind of thought it was going to be like this, but how they got here is totally different from what you would expect, because going into the season, you're like, okay, let's see what we have at Walker Buehler. Let's see what we have at Armand Marquez, Griffin Canning, Lucas Giolito. But, obviously losing Nick Pivetta has been tough, but you look at this starting rotation, you've seen the signs of life. You've seen the good parts of it. You've seen the bad. You've seen the ugly. It's just coming from guys that you didn't think were going to be those guys. Other than that, it's kind of what you expected going into the season with the starting pitching. I'd honestly say the starting pitching is slightly better than we initially thought. And that's not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's slightly better than what you thought it was going to be.
No, it's 100%. And it's been a lot better than what we expected it, especially at the start of the season. This starting rotation, you really only had 2 dead spots, and that was your 4 or 5. Walker Buehler has turned into that 4, and the 5 has kind of been a rotating door so far. And then, of course, you had Nick Pivetta get hurt, and that opened up the 4-5 conversation again. But you have had 3 starting pitchers that, even though Michael King has not pitched to the best of his ability this season, he's still getting you wins. He's still keeping you in games. He's still grinding through games to get deep into those outings. Randy Vasquez pitched better than expected at the start of the season, and now he's sort of regressing back to what you expect him to be. And Walker Buehler, with every single start this year, has only gotten better. So you expected to have 3 starting pitchers. You have 3. The final 2 spots have been the revolving door. But if and when you get Joe Musgrove back, and if and when you get Nick Pivetta back, seeing how they have pitched, or seeing what they can do when they get to the mound, that is going to be a big, big tell. And to have Walker Buehler back there as your solid number 5 now is fantastic.
Latest updates we had, Nick Pivetta could return after the All-Star break. Joe Musgrove could too as well. If healthy, both obviously can dramatically change the ceiling of this team. Padres may not need to trade for multiple starters if those 2 return and perform. I still think they got to get 1, though. They probably still have to get 1 starter, because relying on these guys to come back is not necessarily relying on any injured player to come back and be at a level they used to be at is not a plan.
Especially with Joe Musgrove and Tommy John surgery coming back off of that. And now Nick Pivetta has turned elbow discomfort into 2 months potentially 3, maybe longer on the IL.
Right.
That's you cannot rely on those guys for heavy innings.
Are the Padres good enough right now, or are they waiting for AJ Preller to save them at the deadline? We're going to discuss that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standings over at Sports Station 97.3 The Fan.
Victory lane, climbing out of the truck. Make some noise one more time for your race winner of the Navy 250, Lane Ray.
All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Summer Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. We got ourselves a big weekend series. Padres and Dodgers leading into another big series in Chicago against the Chicago Cubs. Back to a series against LA. And then we got after that. Arizona or the Blue Jays next?
Arizona, then Toronto. So it's Dodgers, Cubs, Dodgers, D-backs for 4, and then Toronto before the All-Star break. Then it's Kansas City, Atlanta, and Miami.
I hope they can do well against Atlanta in Atlanta. They've
4
done well
games
there. Yeah, it's a 4-gamer. And only one of them's going to be in the morning. Rude.
Well, yeah, of course. It's the last game of the series.
They need to play a couple of day games in Atlanta.
What do you think? This is Chicago?
Yes. How come every time they go to Chicago, they play 1-day game?
Chicago on a weekend?
Chicago's on a weekday.
Yeah, I know. They only play all the afternoon games, have it on the weekend. Chicago.
They still have a handful that are during the week.
Oh,
they
no,
have to play
yeah,
a
they
certain
still
amount
have.
They have to play a certain amount of day games based on tradition.
Yeah, but like
and the Padres series never get the multiple day games in a week.
Yeah, because usually, I mean, it's usually during the week, and they usually play all their day games on the weekend.
No, they have a handful that they play during the week too. I've seen it with Chicago before. The Padres have had multiple series where they've way back where they played the Cubs like 2-day games in a row during the week.
Yeah, so because of that, also we're getting chipped. Okay, so we're off on next Wednesday, for the series finale against the Cubs.
Yes.
Then we are allegedly off on the 3rd.
Yes.
All the games against Arizona are night games.
Correct.
So we get
at home.
We get chipped there.
You have a 110 against the Rockies is the next time you're at the Loft.
Yeah, that's not until the 29th. That's the end of the month.
It's the end of July.
Yeah, so we are off on the 1st, 3rd, 23rd, and half show on the 29th this month.
Those East Coast road trips are
we're off
usually
on-
where you
yeah,
cash
the
in on a
23rd.
couple, but unfortunately, it's a 4-game series mixed in there during the week, which jacks that up a little bit. And then after that, it's not many after that.
No, we got
All games in Arizona are night games again. And then you got one more against the Mets on August 19th. That's a day game.
Yeah, we got 2. Yeah, in August we have 2 half shows and 1 day off. And then in September we have 1 day off and 1 half show.
And that's it. Oh, we have because they go to
2
Cincinnati on September 2nd. Interesting.
2 half shows actually.
Huh.
Yeah, 2 half shows because the actually we may not depend. Pregame will start at 11:10.
We're getting in the weeds now.
That's the 17th. So the last one will either be a day off or a 1-hour show. We would have a pregame show.
To get to the topic at hand that we went to break with, are the Padres good enough right now, or are they waiting for AJ Preller to save them? I honestly think, if you look at the record, they're obviously still good enough to be in the conversation of a playoff team. But I think this is a topic that's, what are we saying good enough for? Are they good enough to win a World Series right now? Or are they waiting for AJ Preller to save them? I think they're leaning more towards they're waiting for AJ Preller to save them at the trade deadline. If that's the case, are the Padres good enough right now to make the playoffs?
Yes.
I would say yes. The bullpen's elite. They play really good defense. They've gotten better offensive numbers, and they should be getting some reinforcements coming back with injuries, and they're only a half game out of the wild card. So from that perspective, I would say yes, but I don't think, if you ask this question for the World Series or winning in the playoffs, I say no. If you ask this question for can they make the playoffs currently, I say yes.
You're not waiting for. I think if you're waiting for AJ Preller to save you, that means you're not a playoff team. You are waiting for AJ Preller at this point to enhance you. Is what you're waiting for. You're waiting now for Preller to get you just up to the next level and not get you onto the dance floor. You're on the dance floor. You're just waiting for the time for him to be able to elevate you up a little bit higher. So if this is a one and done wild card team, which personally I think it is, you're waiting for him to do something at the trade deadline to get you possibly to the divisional series and see if you strike fire to go a little bit further. If you're waiting for him to save you, I think that means you are a non-playoff team that is trying to get to the dance. And I think you're already there.
If the trade deadline was tomorrow, you only get one position to fix. Who is it? Starting pitching.
Yes. Starting pitching and then left field.
I know when you get to the postseason, it's more of a bullpen than starting pitching, but you have to get there first. And I just don't think they have the starting pitching as assembled right now and the way that they have been pitching. I don't think they have that to make that jump through the playoffs. I don't. So are the Padres good enough right now? I think they are. I think they've shown that they're good enough to hang around with the wild card. They're not good enough to win the division as assembled right now. They're going to need help. They're not good enough to, win multiple series in the playoffs right now. They're going to need help. They're definitely not good enough to win a World Series right now. They need help, and it's going to be mostly rotation depth, I would imagine, because that's what remains questionable. I mean, the offense still ranks near the bottom of Major League Baseball, even though that is improving. There's a lot of inconsistency, and if we're talking about the division again, I mean, the Dodgers remain very far ahead for them in that particular category. But again, trying to make the wild card might be the case. Does AJ Preller have too much pressure to make a big move? I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, I know the Padres have created an expectation of when the team needs help, Preller gets aggressive. Is that fair to AJ Preller? I guess it kind of is, because he's kind of set this team up like that. Has he not? I mean,
he set his own reputation.
He set that, and he puts his own pressure on himself. I think always being the guy that makes these big trades and makes big moves. And in a couple of these seasons when they haven't made the big move, they haven't made the big splash in the playoffs, right? Like 2023, it was G-Man Choi and Rich Hill, and it was like, really? This is not really going to get it done. And then, what was it, 2021 that they brought in, they're looking for pitching like Jake Arrieta and stuff. It wasn't, those were the years that they didn't make the playoffs. Those are the years that they didn't make a big splash. They've made big splashes in all the other years, and those are the years that they usually make the playoffs. But I think a lot of the pressure on AJ Preller is pressure that he created for himself, because he's been the guy that he's had the reputation to be the guy that makes the big splash at the deadline.
Yeah, and he's built, again, it's hard to say that he has made, that he's got pressure on him to do something when that is the reputation that he has earned. He's given himself. He has earned the reputation as being the guy who goes out and makes the crazy move. So it's not really pressure if he's doing it to himself. This is kind of what you expect out of him now. And this is also not just what the fans expect. It's what the other general managers expect now. He has built that reputation, not just in this city, but in the sport, of being the guy who is going to go out and make the move that no one else thinks of.
Let's talk about the Dodgers series one last time here before we kind of shift gears into, I do want to talk Walker Buehler against the Dodgers. We'll do that in the next segment. But the Dodgers are coming. Is this a statement series? I really don't think it is. And the other question on top of this was, do the Padres need to beat the Dodgers or just prove that they belong? I don't think they need to do either of those things. I don't think they need to do either of those things. They've already shown that they belong with the top teams in Major League Baseball, which right now the measuring stick has been the Dodgers. I don't think anybody really questions that. I think sweeping the Braves kind of solidifies this year's team of can they hang with the top? The answer is yes. I don't care what the Braves rolled out there. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. I mean, the series obviously impacts the division race, whatever that may be at 9 games out. I don't necessarily think it really affects your confidence too much either way. I mean, you might get extra confidence if you take 2 out of 3 or even like sweep, which would be crazy. You go 6-0 in this homestand with these two teams. That definitely boosts the confidence, but I don't think it changes. It might change fan perception, but we already know that that's going to change throughout the entire weekend anyway. I don't see this as anything more than we need to win games, and that's the next team in front of us.
Exactly. The wins are immensely important right now. The fact that you're playing the Dodgers does not change that. It doesn't enhance it. It doesn't diminish it. You need to win games. The fact that you're playing the Dodgers now, that's just a byproduct of who came up on the schedule at what time. That's really it.
And I'm not looking at the 4 games in LA yet until they play the Cubs, because I think the Cubs series is the most important. You have LA, Chicago, LA, Arizona, Toronto. Out of all those series, Chicago's the most important.
Especially because when you look at the wild card standings, the two teams that are in front of you, Philadelphia and St. Louis,
You've already lost the season series to those 2 teams.
Correct. You can't do that again to Chicago. I mean, you're backing yourself into a corner of not giving yourself any type of leeway when you get to the end of the season because of the fact that you dropped the ball against, not only dropped the ball against Philadelphia, I mean, not even win a game against Philadelphia. And then St. Louis is a team that you probably should have been able to handle. I agree with Tony. I still think they're still like a pretender in the contender-pretenders phase, but at this point in time, until they start to fall off or start losing to really good National League teams, as I love to say for the World Cup right now, as it stands, you're not in a good spot when it comes to tiebreakers right now, as it stands, as the Padres are. As Chris Ella mentioned, 12-6 against first place teams. That's incredible.
And looking at the Cardinals right now, they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. The next team below them in the wild card standings that has lost more games in their last 10 than they've won is the Nationals, who they are 3 games ahead of in the wild card right now. So they've also, another thing that they've also done here recently is that their run differential is dipped. They're now a -1 in run differential. So if you want to see those things as like little indicators, that might be the Cardinals showing that they are falling, that they're starting to maybe not fall, but certainly at least slip in the Central.
I don't want you to look at their schedule yet. I just pulled it up.
No, I'm not.
And we're going to go to break because we're going to run out of time here in about 20 seconds. But we are really about to know how good this Cardinals team is when we roll into the Home Run Derby on July 13th. Because they got a lot of games against good teams coming up.
I can see their one opponent because it's on next, so I know who their next opponent is. I don't know after that.
So we're gonna, we'll tell you where they're at right now. But Padres are about to finish up. They still got to get to July 13th. Their tough stretch. Competition in the wild card changes a little bit. Maybe it's not that bad. You lost the tiebreaker to the Cardinals. We'll explain in the 11 o'clock hour. Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. Hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Let's talk about what we kind of teased going to break. You look at the standings right now for the Padres, and we're getting close. I mean, we're getting close to middle of the season. We got, that halfway point is tomorrow?
Yes.
The regular halfway point, not the ceremonial halfway point with the All-Star game, obviously. And so we looked at the standings and, trying to make it through these games. We talked about how the Cubs are the most important series over the course of these next 5. LA this weekend, at Chicago, at LA, back against Arizona and Toronto going into the All-Star break. Those are all good teams. I mean, Toronto's a couple of games under 500, but they're still the reigning American League champ. Okay, the American League has not been very good in general. It is what it is. But that's not going to be a pushover of a game. Arizona's right behind you in the standings. The Cubs are right above you in the standings in the wild card. So when you look at what's the most important. I'll pause the music there. What's the most important series? I still think it's the series against the Cubs, because as the standings show, you're a half game back of St. Louis, you're 1 game back of Chicago, and you're 2 games back from Philly. But again, without having the tiebreaker against Philly or St. Louis, you can add another half game to that, because even if the Padres, if the Cardinals didn't play today and the Padres played and the Padres won and they'd be even, the Cardinals would get the nod because they won the season series. So it's really like an extra half game back. So you're really a game back behind St. Louis, a game back behind Chicago, and you are 2.5 games back behind Philly because you lost the season series against Philadelphia and St. Louis. That's why this Cubs game series is so important. And take it 2 out of 3. Is it going to help? You're just going to be tied because you lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs here. So in order to win the season series against Chicago, you got to go to Wrigley and sweep them. It's a little bit more of a dire situation playing them than anything else. But Tony said it on the roundtable. I said I agree with Tony. I don't necessarily think the Cardinals are a contender. I view them as a pretender. You've already started to see them come back down to earth a little bit. They were, going into this week, the top wild card team, and now they have fallen to the 3rd wild card team and only a half game lead on the Padres. They have a series against Miami this weekend, which is not easy. Miami is 42-39. They're only a game behind the Padres in the wild card standings. But that's not what makes this part of the schedule difficult for St. Louis. Again, very young team. There's a lot of good teams in the National League. This is what St. Louis is. This is who St. Louis is playing. Again, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. But this is an interesting stretch for the Cardinals because after they play Miami this weekend for 3 games, they're going to have Monday off.
Good.
And then they're going to play 14 games in 13 days leading into the All-Star break.
Oof.
They will play in Atlanta for 3,
Oof.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. They will be in Chicago for the 4th of July against the Cubs, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And that's after they had just played Chicago as well. They played them, I think, last weekend or during some point during last week.
That would be incorrect.
Did they not just play the Cubs?
They have not played the Cubs since May 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Okay, these months just meld together now because I could have swore I saw last week. It might have been a preview for next week.
It could be a preview.
Yeah,
Last weekend, they played Kansas City.
Gotcha.
Okay, so they have Monday off, and they play 14 games in 13 days. Well, how do you do that? Well, they got 3 games in Atlanta, 3 games in Chicago. And then they got 5 against the Milwaukee Brewers in 4 days because they have to play a doubleheader on Tuesday the 7th as a makeup from May 5th. And then guess who they have right before the All-Star break? The Atlanta Braves. Again. So we're going to know just how good the Cardinals are going into the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, they play 20 games in 20 days. They go to the West Coast. They take on Arizona and the Angels. Okay. Then they fly back to St. Louis. And on what was going to be their off day on July 23rd is now a makeup game against Arizona from June 25th. So they got the Diamondbacks at home. Then Cincinnati. Then they welcome the Cubs for 4. They go to Toronto for 3. And they go play the Bronx Bombers for 3 in August to complete their 20 games in 20 days. They get a couple of days off on a couple of Thursdays with the Rockies and Phillies mixed in, and then it's Chicago again, 5 more against Cincinnati because of a makeup, 3 games against Philly. I mean, when we talk about this Cardinals team, because again, it's competition with the Padres, right? I view this as, again, I think they're too young. I think they're very young. I don't necessarily think they're going to have the pitching to survive this. And I think this is the stretch right here where you start to see the Cardinals really show their youth, because a lot of these young players that don't have a lot of major league experience, this is where young teams start to get worn down, especially in the middle of the summer in a lot of locations that are going to be hotter than the sun and against really good teams.
Yep. Miami's game and a half out of a wild card spot behind St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Bravos are first. Brewers are first. Cubbies are second. Bravos are first. I mean, though that's a really, really tough. You want to talk about having a tough stretch into the All-Star weekend. That is a brutal stretch.
Yeah, and these are the teams you're going to have to start paying attention to because these are the teams you're competing for a wild card spot. And, aside from the Marlins, everybody they play is a current playoff team. As Frank mentioned, division leaders and second place teams are playoff teams. So it's a tough stretch for St. Louis. Padres got to be able to capitalize on that and hopefully pass them in the standings so you don't have to worry about them anymore. But also at the same time, it makes for having to beat the Cubs is more important because as of right now, and who knows, do we think the Cubs are going to survive where they're at right now? They have nobody in their starting rotation. Let me ask you this. How's was it Drew Peterson, David Peterson?
David Peterson.
How's David Peterson done this year?
He got moved to the bullpen a couple weeks ago.
Right. How's the starting rotation for this Cubs team?
Depleted.
Decimated. And I don't know how many of those guys are coming back.
They got Boyd back last night.
We talk about pitching and having pitching, and no team has enough pitching. The Cubs don't have enough pitching before you can say, as a contender, they don't have enough pitching. I don't know if the Cubs are going to be able to survive their stretch either. But right now, those are the teams you're competing for a wild card spot for. You're going to have, next week's games, I think, are more important. I really do. I mean, we can see what the Cubs are going to do in the next couple of weeks, but, obviously they play the Cardinals a lot. They have a little bit more easy of a schedule because they got the Pods, they got St. Louis, they go to Baltimore is not very good. Cincinnati's been okay. Minnesota's not good. Detroit's not good. At Pittsburgh, not good. At St. Louis again. So their July is not the worst. August, they got the Yankees and the Dodgers back to back. You got the Royals mixed in there, Washington, St. Louis. I just don't see the Cubs' schedule being as crazy as the Cardinals until you get to September, and then it starts to heat up a little bit. But 2 series against the Marlins in September, who knows what the Marlins will be after the trade deadline. So next week, I think very important for the Padres. I think a little bit more so than this weekend against the Dodgers. The only reason why it becomes important against the Dodgers is because you need to get wins to try to make your life a little bit easier in the second half of the season. Tonight against LA, Walker Buehler returns to the Dodgers-Padres rivalry. Can he turn back the clock? That's a big question. I mean, Friday night's Padres-Dodgers matchup tonight, obviously an interesting storyline. Walker Buehler gets another chance to face the organization where his career began, and this time it's wearing a Padres uniform. For years, Buehler was one of the pitchers Padres fans dreaded seeing, and from 2018 to 2021, Buehler was one of the best young starters in baseball. 95 appearances, 94 starts, 2.82 ERA, 0.99 whip, 620 strikeouts, and 564 innings, 14.4. Fangraphs WAR 7th among Major League Baseball pitchers during that span. And against the Padres specifically, 12 career regular season starts, 1.80 ERA. Major part of the Dodgers' dominance in the National League West. Major part of a reason why they won a couple of World Series. But the last several years have completely changed the trajectory of his career. From 2022 to 2025, multiple injuries, declining effectiveness, loss of fastball dominance, and obviously a lot of career uncertainty. His final season with LA ended very poorly, and his 2025 campaign with the Red Sox and Phillies was definitely the lowest point of his career. 5.45 ERA, 112 and a third innings, 120 hits allowed, 55 walks, 22 home runs allowed. Boston eventually released him during a playoff push, and the Padres decided to take a chance this offseason, hoping there was something left in the former ace. That gamble, it's starting to pay off. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Walker Buehler going against his former team. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Everyone's talking about Tarek Skubal and Joe Ryan, but don't sleep on under-the-radar names heading toward the MLB trade deadline. Colorado's Antonio Senzatella has reinvented himself in the bullpen and could become one of the most valuable relief arms available. Miami's Peter Fairbanks still throws 97, could be another sneaky bullpen addition. Royce Lewis heating up again in Minnesota. Reed Detmers quietly having a strong season with the Halos, and Zach Gallen could benefit from a change of scenery. Meanwhile, Luis Ariz continues to hit over 300 and has become one of the best defensive second basemen in baseball. Every year, we focus on the blockbuster trades, but championships are often won by the teams that find value where everyone else isn't looking. Biggest move at this year's deadline might not be the one making the headlines right now. With August 3rd trade deadline quickly approaching, much of the attention around baseball is centered around the big names like Tarek Skubal, Joe Ryan, Freddie Peralta, and Robbie Ray. But while those headline grabbers dominate the conversation, contenders are also searching for hidden gems who could make a huge impact in the second half. As history has shown, sometimes the moves that win championships, Frank, aren't the splashiest ones. They're the smartest ones. First name that comes to mind, 2021 Atlanta Braves, who went and got 3 new outfielders and ended up winning a World Series.
Absolutely. And relief pitching also very, very important down the stretch. Every contender is looking for bullpen help, and a couple of intriguing names are beginning to emerge. Colorado's Antonio Senzatella has reinvented himself after moving from the starting rotation to the bullpen. Since making the transition and altering his pitch mix, he's posted excellent numbers and suddenly looks like one of the Rockies' most attractive trade pieces. Meanwhile, Miami closer Pete Fairbanks could become one of the best relievers available if the Marlins decide to sell. His ERA may not jump off the page, but his velocity and swing and miss stuff remain intact, making him a potential buy low candidate for playoff hopefuls. Bullpen arms always become expensive in July, and that trend figures to continue.
Position versatility is becoming more valuable than ever. Modern front offices love flexibility, and several players who can move around the diamond are drawing attention. Washington's Curtis Mead has enjoyed a breakout season while playing multiple infield positions. Oswald Peraza, now with the Angels, can play second, third, shortstop, and even the outfield, making him a useful piece for contenders looking to strengthen their bench. Versatility becomes even more valuable in October when roster flexibility can determine postseason matchups. I think of Ben Zobrist, right? And the long run that they had with the Chicago Cubs being the versatile player. But Minnesota's Royce Lewis could become one of the most fascinating names on the market, despite the fact that he is very much injury prone.
Yep. Lewis has always had star level talent. The issue is he's never been healthy in order to show it long enough. After a difficult start to the season that included a trip back to AAA St. Paul, Lewis has caught fire and is once again showing the offensive upside that made him one of baseball's top prospects. At just 27 and capable of playing multiple positions, he can be an attractive option for teams seeking help in the infield. One question remains: will he be able to stay healthy long enough for the trade to mean something?
Teams are desperate for starting pitching, but they might have more options than they realize. While everyone is focused on Tarek Skubal and Joe Ryan, several other teams could emerge. Angels left-hander Reed Detmers is quietly putting together a strong season and remains under team control for multiple years, making him extremely appealing. Arizona's Zach Gallen has endured an uneven campaign, but contenders know his ceiling. Sometimes a change of scenery is exactly what a veteran needs to rediscover his all-star form. Secondary arms could end up being just as important as a lot of the marquee names, but offense could be hard to find, and that's significant here in San Diego, who's looking for a couple of bats potentially at the trade deadline.
Yeah, several contenders are searching for right-handed power and lineup depth. The Texas Rangers have slugger Jake Berger, who we saw earlier last weekend, remaining one of the players to watch. He has legitimate power, and while he doesn't provide elite on-base skills, plenty of playoff teams need more home run production. And then you also have another guy that we're very familiar with here, San Francisco's Luis Ariz, representing the opposite type of offensive player, bringing elite contact ability, gets on base consistently, and has dramatically improved defensively. His versatility at first and second base could make him an ideal fit for contenders looking for lineup balance. That's the infield, though. The outfield.
Teen on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Let's get to this Walker Buehler tonight against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm pretty sure he faced them already once, right?
He might
I want to say he did when he was with Philly.
Though.
Well, he obviously hasn't done it in a Padres uniform. But I want to say he did it when he was in Philly, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm excited for this. But I'm also I'm excited for it in a sense of I want to see what this looks like. More so than I'm excited like, oh, just because it's his former team, he's going to dominate the Dodgers. I don't necessarily believe that's going to be true. But when the Padres decided to sign Walker Buehler, I was stoked about it because I was willing to take the chance. It was a low risk deal, high reward potentially, right? But not only that, a lot of people, this is what I didn't get about this either. How many people did we see upset that the Padres signed Walker Buehler because he was a former Dodger?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that mentality at all. Like, why would you never want a guy that was on a rival team? He's on your team now. It's not like he's going to, what is he going to, be loyal to the team that said get lost? He's going to, throw games for you? I mean, why would you be upset about that? The guy that was owning you the whole time or that you were upset at is now on your team trying to do it to the team that you hate the most. You should be embracing that, right? I think it's taken a little bit longer for fans to embrace a guy like Walker Buehler. But looking at what he has done in the past and how he's done so far this year, I'm excited to see him. Who's now he's reinvented himself. He's feeling better, and now he finally really gets to have a chance to pitch against the Dodgers in a way that he could be like, stick it to him on a sense of you gave up on me too early. Now, he has one start against the Dodgers. And overall, his numbers were not very good against LA. He did this last year. I can't remember. I don't remember if it was a member of the Red Sox or the Phillies.
It was July 27th against the Dodgers for Boston.
So he went 4 2/3 innings. He allowed 3 earned runs, a homer, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts. Had a 1.929 whip, which is not good, obviously. You like the 4 strikeouts, walks too many. But like last year was the worst year in Walker Buehler's career. I want to see what he looks like today, Frank, against the Dodgers team, as he has not only reinvented himself as a pitcher, but it looks like he's got that confidence now going into this game. And after he said in spring training, it's the first time my elbow hasn't hurt in like 4 years. I think this is a different Walker Buehler going against the Dodgers than that we saw last year when he was wearing a Red Sox uniform.
He's more comfortable in who he is now. And he has gotten even more comfortable in the new role that he has been forced to play in because of the injury and because of what his rehab has meant. So they're going to be facing a completely different pitcher than what they saw last year when he was still trying to, 1, find his way, 2, still dealing with elbow discomfort, and was just kind of hurling and just still trying to find that Walker Buehler magic. He's gotten very comfortable in the fact that he is not that Walker Buehler anymore. He's worked himself into a groove that works for him, and he has reaped many, many benefits for it this season. And I'm sure because of that, it's still bugging him that he cannot get through the 6th inning.
I think so too. I you know what, but here's the thing though.
They don't need him to get through the 6th inning.
But like they're not giving him any help on offense either.
That's another one.
It's like they're close in the game, and it's like we got to try to get a win here. I mean, during the stretch that Walker Buehler has been on, which has been fantastic, and I got to look up the stats real quick on his game logs of his last handful of games, but
he hasn't been able to. He hasn't had a long leash because the Padres have not had big leads because their offense isn't scoring any freaking runs.
How far back do you want to go? So I've got his game logs up right now.
I want to go like his last. I don't know. Let's do his last 5 first.
Well, I got his last 7 up here. He's 2-1 with a 2.72 ERA in his last 7 games, 36 and a third innings, 36 hits. So basically a hit an inning, 11 runs, 34 Ks with a 1.29 whip.
His last 5 starts, Frank, he has a 2.05 ERA.
Yeah, you could see from May 5th, a month and a half ago, he had a 5.64 ERA. He's now got a 3.96.
And you just look at and that day he gave up 4 earned runs on 7 hits against the Giants.
He has not given up more than a run all month.
Correct. I was going to get to that. But it goes 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 3 earned runs against the Athletics. And that was early too. They ambushed them early and they settled in and they got a 7-3 victory. 2 earned runs and then 1-1-1-1. And the Padres this season in Walker Buehler starts are 10-5. 10-5. That's not bad for a guy that nobody thought was going to be good enough to make the team. It's not bad for a guy that you would that was competing for the number 5 spot in your rotation. I mean, a 2.05 ERA in his last 5 starts. I mean, that's the level that you would see out of an ace. That's the level you see out of number 1 starter, number 2 starter. I mean, top of the rotation.
That's Cy Young caliber
kind of deal, right? So you're getting. This is the best Walker Buehler you are going to get post Dodger career going against LA. So I'm excited to watch him pitch today. If you just look at his last 4 starts, he's got a 1.71 ERA in his last 4 starts. He's allowed an earned run in every start, went 6 innings against Philly, went 4 2/3 innings against Cincinnati, 5 innings against Baltimore, 5 1/3 against Texas. And again, with all of those outings, most of it was the fact that the runs were so close because the offense wasn't giving him any help. The thing with this, though, is too, what seems like a situation where you would get a player that used to play for an organization that you don't like, right? Because they're a rival. It just seems like in this Padres-Dodgers series, it seems like the former Padres and the Dodgers have gotten the better of the Padres more than the former Dodgers on the Padres getting the better of the Dodgers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I just feel like watching Adrian Gonzalez against the Padres just like torment them forever. I haven't seen that former Dodger really dominate the Dodgers. Maybe Manny. Has Manny done that enough against LA? I mean, you see a lot of home runs Manny hits. I just don't necessarily know if that's enough. And he only was there for a half a season. But I could see Walker Buehler. I could see this start going 2 drastic directions. I could see Walker Buehler absolutely shoving tonight. And I can also see a disaster in the first inning, which we obviously don't want to see. But I think it'd be great. If Walker Buehler gives you 7 innings tonight, you win. That's a bold prediction, but I think you win if he gets you 7, assuming you could score a run against Roki Sasaki, who has been better recently, but not necessarily someone that most teams have been afraid of. But that being said, how many times have we said this season other teams pitching that hasn't been good all of a sudden showing up with a quality start?
Looking at Roki Sasaki's last 7, he's 2-1 with a 3.89 ERA, giving up 17 runs.
Does he have a lot of walks or no?
10 walks, 44 strikeouts in his last 7.
Well, that's pretty good. Strikeout to walks, not too bad. But hopefully, I think this is a good matchup for the Padres. I don't think tomorrow's matchup's very good for them.
No, Yamamoto's
not unless Randy Vasquez has a bounce back, which I don't necessarily think is going to happen against the Dodgers. And then Sunday Sunday's not a bad matchup either. I mean, Michael King shut this team out for the only win that they have against the Dodgers this season. So maybe that's something to look forward to too on Sunday. But we're going to do our bold prediction later, Frank. We're going to do the Walker Buehler prediction now. What does Walker Buehler do tonight?
What does Walker Buehler do tonight? I think he gets through 6. I think he will
6, or he gets more than 6?
I think he will complete 6.
Quality start, Walker Buehler?
Yes.
I could see that. I think he gets to the 7th inning, but I don't necessarily think he gets out of the 7th inning. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He might get 6 in the 3rd, right? He might. I think he runs out there for the 7th inning because he pitched well against his former team. You know, now really buying into the reinvention of himself, really feeling the confidence that he's going into this game. And I think it sets the tone for the weekend, and hopefully it works out for the Padres. We're gonna do our bold positive prediction in that kind of light. When we come back, Josh Stein, assistant general manager of the San Diego Padres, was on with Ben and Woods as part of the manager's report. We'll hear what Josh Stein had to say next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station 97 through the Fan. 11:34 on a Friday. Padres baseball coming up later on tonight. The Padres and Dodgers, game one of a 3-game series here in San Diego. Tonight's ball game will be on Apple TV Plus. For those that want to watch, you can always listen to 97.3 The Fan, which is the home of the San Diego Padres. Live and local each every day. Great stuff. You can hear Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. if you don't get Apple TV Plus. We had somebody leave us a voicemail on that. And,
the Padres own us?
Yeah, they're so upset that the game's going to be on Apple TV Plus. Apple TV pays Major League Baseball to air games, and they pick games that they want to air, and the Padres have no say in the matter because it's an MLB contract. So as much as people are upset about that because they don't want to spend on Apple TV to watch the product, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing the Padres can do about it. It's a national contract. So I get that you're upset. It's not the Padres' fault. Apple TV pays money to Major League Baseball to air games.
Should be honored, too, because they don't pick up games that are garbage. They're not going to be picking up, let's see. What are some of the games tonight? They're not going to be picking up Arizona, Tampa Bay tonight. That's not a game that anyone would care about.
Yeah, probably not.
What about Colorado, Milwaukee? I think it's a pretty good one, though.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Really want to watch that game.
You're right. Texas, Toronto.
I will say, July next week, they got Tampa and Houston. Yeah. Here's the Apple TV MLB schedule. Cubs, Brewers today, and then Dodgers, Padres. I mean, that was kind of going to be the thing. Tampa, Houston, Milwaukee, Arizona next week.
Milwaukee, first place team.
Oh, my God.
Perennial playoff team.
Did you see the matchup on July 10th?
No.
They must have picked that way early in the season. You ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Did you look it up?
No.
These two teams have been linked a lot recently about being disappointments. And I asked you the question yesterday.
Is it Boston, New York?
What fan base has should be more positive about?
It's Boston and the Mets.
It's the Red Sox and the Mets.
Yeah, they pick those games at the beginning of the season before a single game is played, and you're going off of biggest matchups and most potential.
and biggest fan bases
Yes.
as possible. So they got Red Sox, Mets next week, Braves at Cardinals. July 17th, White Sox at Blue Jays, Rangers at A's. July 24th, Yankees, Phillies. Wow, that's toxic. Blue Jays, Red Sox. July 31st, Rangers, Astros, Giants, Padres. So July 31st, be ready for it again.
A 7-day free trial, unfortunately, will not get you all the way to.
No, you better have better have multiple
31st.
emails or devices of some kind. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Rod. I got Rod's there. Rod in San Diego. What's going on, Rod?
Yo, what's up, fellas? How's it going, Frank?
Good, Rod.
You surviving right now with the Mets news?
I
hope you are.
He's excited,
We're
Rod.
We'll get to it. Don't worry.
Right on. So just please allow me to get a couple of shout outs out of the way. Today's my son's 24th birthday. He's in town from Hawaii visiting. We're going to the Dodger series, so excited for that. Happy birthday, Nolan. Love you, champ. And shout out to the chat fan for especially Nate Taylor for doing what he did for the chatters this morning. That was cool.
Yeah,
So
Nate.
I was calling Nate came through. So I was calling for my bold prediction on Buehler. I'm calling 7 strikeouts, 6+ innings, and no base on balls, and the Padres are gonna pull it out, man. They're gonna pull it out 5-2. That's what I'm saying right now with the Tatis home run, and hopefully we get one from Manny too. I'd like to see those guys celebrate right there. But hope to see you guys out there. I'm talking to the people tuning in. Get out there, sport the gear, fly the colors, and let's go.
Let's
That's all I
go.
got, Braden.
Well, I appreciate that, Rod. Great phone call. I will say this. Maybe we could do this. Since Nate gifted memberships.
Nate gifted out 16 memberships today.
Since he gifted out the memberships, if you got one of those memberships, send me a DM at B_SURP on either Instagram or X, and I will get you a discount code for the shirts on the website.
There you go.
Since Nate Taylor.
Oh, we did 26.
26.
Jeez.
So those people, you got a gifted membership for a month, the anti-Windsock membership. DM me and I'll hook you guys up with a discount code for shirts. So if you do that at B_SURP, I'll let you know what the discount code is. Reach out to you guys on there. Or put your Twitter handle on there or something like that. We'll work out the kinks on that. But if you got gifted a membership, we'll try to hook you guys up with a discount code for our gear that you can go on Shopify. You could also check it out on YouTube. And right now, as mentioned, we'll start. I forgot to throw it up there on the YouTube today, but I'll throw it on there right now on the Braden Surprenant Show page. We got the cool shirts, the white ones, the brown ones, and the blue ones. I just got new ones in today that I will post on there too. So once I get that up there, we'll get you the discount code. Try to get some shirts out there and rep the brand. We appreciate you, and of course appreciate Nate gifting 26 memberships on YouTube. Awesome! Big round of applause for Nate.
Yep, absolutely.
Eight 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to John in Carlsbad. John, what's going on, man?
Braden, Frank, happy Friday. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. It's a great Friday out there.
It is a great Friday, a beautiful day. Hey, I was thinking about this the other day, and with the All-Star break kind of looming around the corner, I haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of Padres. It's probably me just not doing enough research on it, but I kind of view that as kind of a good thing. If I think about it, it gives those guys to kind of throttle down and get back into neutral without having to deal with the pageantry of the All-Star break, and hopefully throttle those guys down for the second half of the season. I don't know how you feel about that. Obviously, we want guys supporting and being out there for the All-Star game, but at the same time, know that it can kind of be a burden for some of those players to have to go through that process. So, give me your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't really looked into the All-Star game yet too much, just because. Did you see the results, Frank? I mean, it's like all Dodgers, all Phillies, and a couple of national, it's just a couple of random players in there mixed in that are the finalists. And even then, like I saw Dodgers fans complaining that Teoscar Hernandez should be an all-star favorite or whatever. I mean, the fan vote is what the fan vote is. I think here's my overall take on the all-star game. I think it's fun to see the players in their respective uniforms during the all-star break. I think it's fun to see the Padres players out there. You want to see them do well. I think all that's great. And when you, as a fan base, and I speak from experience of it was only one all-star every single time.
Going to get the same thing again this year.
It was nice to see the last couple of years they have like 3 or 4, 5 all-stars, 6 all-stars. It was cool to see them in the all-star game. But at this point, I'm in the boat of I'd rather see whatever helps them win a World Series is what I'd rather see. And so I kind of agree with John, like them being off their feet, them taking some time off, and we'll see. This is just the fan vote. We'll see if a couple of Padres get picked. I can't imagine a lot of them do based on their first half stats. And again, the All-Star game is for how well you did in the first half of the season, not necessarily for the entire year. I'd rather have them have a better second half and be all MLB, all National League. I don't think they have that, but all MLB than be an all-star anyway. So I think it's kind of good for the Padres that they don't have too many all-stars. I mean, they'll probably get one with Mason Miller, and that would be my guess. Maybe there's room for 2, maybe with guys turning it down. They give a couple of Padres a call or 2. I just don't really see it happening, but I'm satisfied. I'm cool with the Padres not having too many all-stars out there. I think it's better for the long run. Now, it's some extra days off for a team that could really use it.
Yeah, I think that's still a rule that every team has to have at least one.
Yes.
All-star. So Mason Miller is the only one that I could see legitimately getting in, and he's not going to. Pitchers aren't a part of the fan vote. So, yeah, I can really only see Mason Miller as being the only legitimate all-star that this team has produced this year.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Scout to Ron in La Mesa. Ron, what's going on?
What's up, boys? I am so stoked for this Friday. I just found out they put a Cane's about a half a mile from my house, and I am so stoked I can't even see straight. Oh, and the Padres Dodgers is cool too. See you at the park, boys.
Ron get paid by Canes to call in and say that?
I guess so.
Foul for the shameless plug.
He draws the foul.
Guy's stoked about chicken fingers. If he gets the coleslaw, double foul. Got to exchange that for toast.
I still haven't been. I might go to one this weekend. I know there's one in Imperial Beach. I might go there this weekend at some point.
It's aight.
No, I'm not expecting it to be. I'm not expecting it to
High
be
school kids think it's
away,
the coolest thing ever. We had the Canes in Texas, and there was never like a line. And it was good. But like after that, when I came back home and they started putting Canes in and everybody was in line, like, and taking, I'm like, it's not good enough for me to wait in line for a long time.
That's how I feel about it.
It's just chicken fingers.
That's how I feel about In-N-Out. It's like, it's good. It's fine. It's not good enough for me to wait in a half-hour drive-through line. No shot.
Frank getting mean tweets in 3, 2, 1.
It's good.
Good luck.
Again,
You're going to talk yourself in a circle here.
Again, I will die on the hill that their fries are awful.
I don't think anybody really likes their fries.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to get them like extra crispy or like whatever.
Yeah, but I may as well. I'll just go to a restaurant if I'm going to sit in line. If I'm going to sit and wait for a half hour for a burger, I'm just going to go to a restaurant.
I don't really think In-N-Out takes that long, though.
There are some, like down in Chula Vista, the one in Otay Ranch, that one takes forever.
I have never seen, the one over here, was that Balboa?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one not have a line around, like backing up the street.
Yeah.
One of Poway is not too bad. Yeah, just go inside.
No.
Like Cole Brooks said in the YouTube chat.
No.
Why not?
Because
it's probably faster if you go inside than waiting in your car.
No. The only time I will go to an In-N-Out is if I'm out right when it opens. I did that one. I did that one day when I was putting up signage at Epechanga Arena, and there's the one right on the corner, like right coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down on was that Rosecrans?
Yeah.
In Sports Arena?
Yeah. And I mean, it was good. It was fine.
You know what I get at In-N-Out now?
Hmm.
I get a burger McDonald's style. Have you ever seen that hack?
No.
Apparently, it's supposed to taste like what McDonald's originally tasted like before Ray Kroc kind of took everything over.
Okay.
So you go with you get a whatever burger you want, right? So like you could do 3x3, a 4x4, double. Let's keep it simple. And then you go no lettuce, no tomato, no spread.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike those things. I'm just
that's
correct.
for the
That's just for to make it, like a McDonald's burger. You go dice raw onions, which they'll do for you, pickles, ketchup, and mustard. Delicious. Try it next time.
Oh, there you go.
It's great. It's awesome. The thing I don't like, here's my thing about, I love tomatoes. I don't know why we got on this subject, but I like tomatoes now. I used to not like tomatoes. I like tomato sauce, tomato juice, anything about tomatoes I liked. Didn't like tomatoes. I like tomatoes now. I don't necessarily like tomatoes on a burger. It just makes it slide all over the place.
Yeah.
Does it enhance the flavor? I don't necessarily know it does. That's a condiment on or a topping or whatever you want to call it.
It's a hat on a hat.
That is one on a burger that it doesn't need. You don't need a tomato on a burger. It just messes stuff up. You know what else you don't need on a burger? Lettuce. You don't need lettuce on a burger. You can't have lettuce on a burger. It makes it all slide all over the place. You take a bite, burger falls out of the buns. It's too much.
And also, like if you're selecting a burger as your lunch, especially a fast food burger, you have already decided, you know what, the hell with my 70s. Like putting lettuce on it doesn't make it healthier.
Most of that lettuce isn't even healthy for you anyway. It's like the shredded, nasty,
exactly.
zero nutrition lettuce, if you will. No lettuce on a burger, no tomato on a burger. I like lettuce. I like tomatoes. Not on a burger. I've also heard too, like, you're not supposed to put mustard on a burger. People like mustard's not supposed to be on a burger. It's for hot dogs only. I like mustard, so I don't mind it on a burger.
From what I understand, I'm a ketchup on a hot dog guy. I don't mind it. The only thing that is allowed on a hot dog, especially in New York, is mustard relish and stagnant cart water. That's about it.
Stagnant cart water.
That's about it.
I got to ask you this then, because you're Mr. Casings. As we get into our new lunchtime hour, now I'm hungry. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Ron and La Mesa
yeah.
was what I was going to get to. Foul on him for making me hungry now.
He draws the foul.
See, those Cheerios aren't seeming like a bad idea now, are they? Because I'm fine.
You were eating them while we were on the air. We have a break time for that.
Which, you know what? The best part about that is that if we weren't on YouTube, nobody would know that.
I did ask you a question mid-bite.
Yeah, you did that on purpose.
Saw it. No.
Saw the opening and took it.
Don't distract me from the question. Since you're used to New York City hot dogs, does that mean you only like boiled hot dogs instead of grilled or on a griddle or the different ways that you could cook a hot dog?
I prefer them boiled. I don't mind them either.
So if you go to a barbecue on the 4th of July and they have hot dogs,
I'll have them grilled. I don't care. I just don't like them burnt to a crisp. That's
I don't like them burnt to a crisp either. I just like them warmed up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need too many grill marks on a hot dog.
Thank you. I agree 100%.
Hot dog or brat at a barbecue?
Given the choice, if I can only have one, I'm taking a brat.
I'm taking a brat too. You put ketchup on your hot dog? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I know.
No. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to put mustard on a burger. And you're not supposed to put ketchup on a hot dog.
I'm sorry. I'm a rebel. I don't know what to tell you.
When I look at you, Frank, it doesn't scream rebel. Is that insulting to you? I don't think so. When I see you, Frank,
it's not insulting when it's accurate.
It doesn't scream rebel. And so if the most rebellious thing you've done is put ketchup on a hot dog, you probably are okay.
We already got the foul. Relax. Yeah, Greek, yes. Now we're getting somewhere. Bacon wrapped. Now we're getting somewhere.
You know, Sonoran hot dogs are money. Bacon wrap dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful with the bacon wrap dogs. You got to like kind of only make that on a griddle, or you'll have some serious flames on your grill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go Aztecs in the Twitch chat. You don't picture him in a leather jacket? I don't. No, absolutely not. No lettuce on a burger, no tomato on a burger. Don't need it. What is your opinion on, since Ben and Woods are going to Chicago, what is your opinion on a Chicago dog? Too much stuff on there for you?
Yeah.
You don't want the pepper on there?
No.
The pickle?
No. The sesame seed bun, though, is interesting. Or the poppy seed bun.
The poppy seed bun. Yeah. What else is on a hot dog?
I mean, it doesn't really
Chicago
doesn't
dog.
really matter. It's just a thing.
How much does a cart dog go for nowadays? I remember getting one in New York going like, that's ridiculous.
I don't remember. Honestly, I think it was like are you looking up online how much a cart dog in New York?
Standard New York City street dog generally costs between $3 and $5. However,
yeah, I think it was like I was going to say it's like $2.50. I think the last time I had.
Highly tourist heavy areas like Times Square, Central Park, or near the World Trade Center, vendors sometimes charge $8 to $11.
Oh
for
yeah,
a hot dog. That's
100%.
100% sure. That's 100% what I paid for a hot dog.
There are also Nathan's hot dog trucks there, so you can get like the Nathan's fries and all that stuff in there too. There was one by the Brooklyn Bridge when I walked over it. There was a Nathan's truck there, but yeah, you have to go. You cannot go to tourist areas. You have to be in like business, residential kind of areas. You cannot be in like high tourism, high foot traffic areas.
Did you
want
see,
to get a cart dog?
Did you see Corey O comment on YouTube?
No, I did not.
He says he likes barbecue sauce on his dogs. That's a foul. I don't really like barbecue sauce though, so I mean I see people put that with the chicken.
You want me to give myself a foul right now?
You put barbecue sauce on your hot dog?
No. I will do it with one hot dog. I have put A1 sauce on a ballpark dog before.
A1 sauce?
It's not bad, but that's the only one I'll do it with. I will not do it with like Nathan's. I won't do it with anything else. Just A1 sauce on a ballpark. Not bad.
A1 sauce on a ballpark dog. I don't think I've ever had A1 sauce ever. When we come back, we'll hear what Josh Stein had to say. We had injury updates on Camposano and Cronenworth. Me lunchtime hour on the Fan. We just talked about lunch. Thanks to Ron of La Mesa for derailing the show on the Canes conversation.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
What happened to the tacos? Yeah, we could eat some tacos today. It's a Friday. What are you having for lunch? America? San Diego? Tweet at the show. Tell us what you're having for lunch. Tweet at your lunch location. Cole Brooks in the YouTube chat.
You doing anything after the show?
Yeah, I'm recording stuff.
Well, no,
and then I'm going home.
Okay.
Sorry. I am not feeling that great today.
Well, no, I was thinking I might go to Long Island Mike's.
No, you should go to Long Island Mike's. Any other day I'd probably go. I mean, it's been a long week with football in the morning and go. Coming off a weekend last weekend where I didn't rest at all.
I'm in the same boat with you, dude.
I am the dude in NASCAR that ran out of gas. That's in terms of that. So, but we're going to have a fun 2 hours here. And I do want to get to the manager's report, which is brought to you by SDCCU. It's not big bank banking. It's better. A couple of things with assistant general manager Josh Stein on with Ben and Woods this morning with injury updates. We've gotten a lot of people on the YouTube chat asking about injury updates on all of the shows, on the pregame show, Equator SoCal Padres pregame show, on the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. We got a lot of that going on. So what are the updates? Let's talk about Luis Camposano first with Josh Stein.
Yeah, so Luis is also progressing. He's actually out here in Arizona. And the toe is pretty much 100% at this point. Unfortunately, he a couple weeks ago when he started kind of his return to play and swinging, he kind of felt a small tweak in his side and his oblique muscle, so that slowed him down for a few days. But he's making a lot of progress. He's back to again standing in, taking live at bats here in Arizona. And I don't have a specific timeline, but I think a rehab assignment's going to be here pretty soon.
Which would be good news for the Padres. They got Freddie Fermin back, obviously, this past week. They could use having Luis Camposano back. The other update we were looking for is Jake Cronenworth. Sounded like he was supposed to play last night, but he does have to pass these concussion test protocols. So even though they think he was going to be able to potentially play, this happened with Freddie Fermin on Monday this week. There's some things that he has to pass before he is allowed to play. He is with the team in El Paso right now in AAA to get ready to start his rehab assignment. Here's the latest from Assistant General Manager Josh Stein on Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, I mean, Jake's been doing really well the last couple weeks, and he's out with the AAA team, and there's a process of getting a player cleared, to come back and start a rehab assignment. And happy to say we've got that clearance now. Thought we might get it before yesterday's game, but he'll barring anything unforeseen, he'll be in the lineup tonight. And I think it's like any other rehab assignment. Want to make sure he's been getting live at bats in Arizona and working his way back. Kind of the full health and really full confidence. I think anytime you're dealing with a concussion and the symptoms involved, you gotta you want to be very careful and mindful of not just how a player feels in that moment or on that day, but you really want to have multiple days of getting beyond any symptoms that may have occurred. And so I think Jake's there, and as it relates to kind of when we'll see him with the Padres, I think a lot of that will be a function of how the rehab assignment goes, and like I said, hopefully that gets started tonight.
So that was Josh Stein talking with the morning show as part of our manager's report. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Obviously, two big injury updates for you. It's great that Jake Cronenworth is starting his rehab assignment right now. Sounds like Luis Camposano is not much far behind. That would be two nice little upgrades for this Padres team here as we get into closer and closer to the All-Star break. Do you want to get back to the phones? 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Let's get out to Jackie in Chula Vista. Jackie, what's going on?
Yes, hello. Jackie in Chula Vista. Hello?
What's going on?
Am I on the line right now?
You are.
Oh, well, I'm Jacqueline's mother, Kathleen, 83 years old. My daughter listens to this program every day of her life, and she loves gravy. And I want to tell you, do you know that a tablespoon of mustard a day will keep cramps away?
How about that? How about that? Jackie and Chula Vista dropping the knowledge. A spoonful of mustard a day keeps the cramps away. We are not doctors here. Try that on your risk. Please consult your doctor before any health regulations. But that was cute. 83-year-old calling into the show. Her daughter listens to the show every day. Shout out to them.
Love it.
Love Scraby, too. We should tell Scraby to start eating mustard. Nate Taylor in the YouTube chat dropping that. It's been 84 years.
Don't do that when we just had a nice 83-year-old woman on the show, please.
That was hilarious. What is that? What movie is that from?
Titanic.
So good. Been 84 years.
Stop doing that. Stop it.
My grandmother's nice. She just turned 93 last Sunday. 93. It's a long time. I want to get to the you prepared a sports thread today?
I did.
I have an extra one for you.
Uh-oh.
Maybe. I don't know. Let me check to see if you have it on here. Came out about an hour ago. So,
well, while you're doing that,
it might actually jump in with something else on there. But let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today in the sports world?
Oh, some wonderful news that your boy woke up to today.
Number 1.
My New York Metropolitans finally did the thing. They have fired Carlos Mendoza after the club slipped to 13 games under 500.
Nice, man.
And endured a 6-game losing streak. Despite leading the Mets to the NLCS just 2 seasons ago, Mendoza could not overcome injuries, underperformance, and lofty expectations this year. Bench coach and former friend Andy Green will take over on an interim basis as New York tries to salvage this. There's no salvaging this season. Did the Mets make the right move by firing Carlos Mendoza? Yes. Or should the front office and roster shoulder more of the blame for this disappointment? Also, yes.
I think it's a blessing in disguise for him, to be honest with you.
Yes.
It sounds like most people around baseball, rival executives, all that, think that this is a roster problem more so than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they also believe that they're not going to turn things around. So it won't be held against Mendoza the next time he applies for a managerial job. So from that standpoint, this seems more of like a Stearns problem than it is a Mendoza problem. And we will see when that shoe drops.
I don't understand why they need to wait. And Stearns is speaking right now, as a matter of fact. How he is, I have no idea. Any fool can trade Freddie Peralta, AJ Minter, and Brooks Raley. Anyone could do that. And really, who cares about the MLB draft? Get rid of that clown right now.
If you're not going to keep him, why would you let him draft?
Get rid
seriously.
of him.
Correct. Like if you are at the we got to wait for the draft. Like, don't wait for the draft.
No.
If you don't like the GM or president, whatever the title is nowadays for baseball, but if this is not going the right direction, the roster construction stinks, and you wanted to be the Milwaukee Brewers, but with more money, and you're not getting that, why would you allow this guy to draft and then screw up your draft? It doesn't get rid of the guy.
Again, another reminder that he was fired as general manager from Milwaukee and demoted before the Mets hired him. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good luck, Carlos Mendoza.
Number 2.
The Tennessee Volunteers football squad.
I said it's great to be a Tennessee Volunteer.
Well,
Unfortunately for Chaz Coleman, it's not.
No, it's not.
They have lost one of their top transfer additions as edge rusher Chaz Coleman has been medically disqualified and is no longer with the program. Coleman transferred from Penn State after an impressive freshman season, but stepped away from the team during spring practice before the school announced the decision. His departure is a significant setback for the Vols and he was expected to make an immediate impact. How much can the loss of this key transfer like Chaz Coleman affect Tennessee's defense? And does it highlight the risk of relying heavily on the transfer portal?
It does highlight the risk on the transfer portal. Even if you go all in on the transfer portal and you just get guys that don't hit, regardless if there's a medical thing or not, if they just don't hit, it's boom or bust in the transfer portal. Tennessee's defense has not been good the last couple of years. I know they just hired the former DC of Penn State. I know they got a lot of Penn State guys down there. Tennessee has not had a really good defense, and I think a lot of it has to be the fact that, it's a very offensive-minded team with Josh Heupel down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can score points, everything like that, but they can't stop anybody, and they haven't had a good defense for the last couple of years. We'll see if the new DC helps out. Obviously, a tough blow not having one of your defensive linemen coming in as he's now medically ineligible.
Number 3.
Want to go NFL or Team USA here?
NFL.
Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold remains in custody after appearing in a Florida court on felony charges of armed robbery, kidnapping, and conspiracy. Prosecutors allege Arnold orchestrated a violent retaliation over stolen property, while his attorney says he is innocent and that there is no credible evidence tying him to the crime. Arnold was ordered held without bail, pending a hearing next week, leaving his NFL future and legal situation in serious doubt. If these allegations are proven false, how difficult is it for an athlete to recover their reputation? And if they're proven true, what should the NFL's response be?
Well, here's the thing with this story. So do you know what happened?
I'm assuming based off of the charges, someone robbed him, stole his property, and then went to get it back. People were in the house, which is what the kidnapping is.
No, that's not even close to what happened. I just heard it on Gwen and Chris yesterday. And so what happened was him and his friends, I think, rented an Airbnb, and over $100,000 worth of stuff got stolen, something along those lines.
Lovely.
And he decided to retaliate against the people that stole his stuff. And so he went and retaliated against these 4 people, or I think kids or whatever like that stole his stuff. And most of it was on the phone until he got there, whatever. They basically held these guys captive to get his money back.
The kidnapping.
But it wasn't them. It was 4 people they thought did it, but didn't actually do it.
Nice.
So now, and I'm sure it probably would have been a little bit more lenient if it was the retaliation thing, which is still not good. But it wasn't actually the people that robbed him. It was 4 other people that are okay, well, that's, it is kidnapping now.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. But here's the deal. This is a situation in which there have been people already accused and charged of doing this with him. And it's their word against his word about the involvement. So as his attorneys have said, there's no evidence for this, but apparently there might be some on the FaceTime of him telling these people what to do for these kidnapping. Because he basically had some hired guns for this deal. So it's a crazy story that obviously has a lot. He is facing up to life in prison. So to answer the question of it, what does the NFL do if it's not true? They don't need to do anything.
No.
It's going to take care of itself. But if it's not, the reputation thing, those are hard to overcome. So you got to let the legal process play out. They had this, Gwen and Chris talked about this on their sports court yesterday. And the question was, kind of along the lines of that. They don't have to do anything. They can wait. But the question was, should the Lions back their guy during the legal process? I don't know about back them. I don't think they need to double down and be he's innocent, they just be like, we're aware.
Yeah, we're aware. We know what's going on.
We will let the court process handle this. Because if he's found innocent and they already like cut him, it doesn't do anything. They just got there. It's really out of the Lions' hands at this point in time.
Yeah. What was that other story you had? Or was that a part of it?
Brendan Sorsby.
Oh, God. What happened now? Hold on.
This came out an hour
Number
ago.
4.
The NFL will not let quarterback Brendan Sorsby join any of its teams in 2026. We knew this.
Yeah, through the supplemental draft.
The CFL won't either.
Hey!
So the Canadian
Good
Football
job,
League
Canada.
is not going to have Brendan Sorsby be in their league either. Quote, upholding the integrity of the league and ensuring fair competition are paramount to the CFL. CFL said in a statement issued to USA Today, the allegations involving Brendan Sorsby are serious and concerning. At this time, the CFL will not register a contract for him, and no team will be permitted to add him to its negotiation list. Is he going to sue them too?
But I went to rehab, guys. It should be okay, eh?
Brendan Sorsby has shown no inclination to play in the CFL, which started its 2026 regular season on June 4th. His primary options seem to be challenging the NFL's decision as to the supplemental draft in court and accepting that he won't be able to be drafted by an NFL team until April of 2027. The fact that no lawsuit has been filed since the NFL announced its decision on Tuesday strongly suggests that no lawsuit will be filed. And in fact, he will just wait until 2027.
He's such a dope, dude.
Number 5.
And he's getting bad advice, obviously, from attorneys that want to keep collecting his money for these court cases.
Yep. Despite the United States men's soccer team falling 3-2 to Türkiye last night, manager Mauricio Pochettino made it clear the bigger picture is what matters. Pochettino pushed back against questions about the loss, reminding reporters that the U.S. still finished first in the World Cup group after resting several key players ahead of the knockout round. With Christian Pulisic making return from injury and the Americans set to face Bosnia and Herzegovina next, Pochettino said the team remains focused on making a deep tournament run. Was Pochettino right to dismiss concerns after the loss because the U.S. won the group, or should fans be worried about the team's form heading into the knockout stage?
It's hard to evaluate last night's game. It would have been nice to get a clean sweep of the pool, which they had not done ever, I think, right? They have never, accumulated 9 points in group stage. So for that, it would have been fun. But the fact that they were resting guys with yellow cards and the fact that they didn't play, like it gave everybody a day off, an extra day of rest, and it doesn't affect their standings at all or their round of 32 match. I honestly can't be that upset about it.
No.
I mean, it's like a preseason game or a friendly. It's like, yeah, it's unfortunate they, gave up a goal at the end, but Türkiye's trying to leave there with at least one win, right? I mean,
they played the way that everyone expected them to play. This was the Türkiye team that we expected to show up, that was going to make last night's game potentially for the win in the group. So no. And if there was one game in this tournament that you can lose, last night was it. And it was on a fluke last second deflection. Like it's not like they got outplayed. They did in the first half for sure. The United States was definitely outplayed in the first half. But that was, if there was one penalty-free loss that this tournament gives you, last night was it for sure.
When we come back, we got some news for the Padres. They made they've signed a player. According to a report from Dennis Lynn, we'll tell you who that player is when we come back. And at 12:35, Sam Levitt will join the show. Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. NFL minicamps are over and training camp storylines are already taking shape. In Chicago, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are building strong chemistry as the Bears focus heavily on improving Williams' accuracy. Minnesota has a fascinating quarterback battle brewing between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy, while Atlanta's competition between Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. will finally heat up in camp. Buffalo players are loving new head coach Joe Brady's relaxed approach, but can he balance being a player's coach with maintaining discipline? Denver is already raving about new receiver Jalen Waddle. Cleveland's rookie receivers have impressed, and San Francisco may have found a hidden gem in rookie linebacker Jaden Duggar. As teams head into summer break, biggest questions remain at quarterback, and training camp can't get here soon enough. As teams wrap up mini camps and head into summer break before training camp, every organization now has a clear picture of where things stand. OTAs and minicamp don't determine championships, but they often reveal storylines that become major themes once the regular season begins. From quarterback battles to coaching philosophies and emerging stars, NFL's offseason program gave us plenty to talk about. Let's start with the quarterback position, Frank.
Yeah, the quarterback situation remains front and center throughout the league. In Arizona, new head coach Mike LaFleur still doesn't have clarity under center. Jacoby Brissett's contract dispute kept him sidelined during practices, leaving Gardner Minshew and rookie Carson Beck to take most of the reps. It's hardly an ideal start for a team trying to establish a new culture. In Atlanta, the quarterback battle between Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. is still unresolved. Penix was limited while recovering from an ACL injury, so training camp should provide the first true opportunity to determine who wins the job. Minnesota is setting up another intriguing battle. Veteran Kyler Murray is learning Kevin O'Connell's offense while J.J. McCarthy continues to develop. Expect that competition to continue deep into camp. Meanwhile, Vegas is taking the patient approach with number one pick Fernando Mendoza. Veteran Kirk Cousins appeared to be poised to open the season as the starter, while Mendoza develops behind him, behind the scenes. Things going quite well in Chicago right now, if you're not talking about stadium issues, though.
Yeah, they're continuing to build around Caleb Williams, and that's perhaps no player is more important to his franchise right now than Caleb Williams in Chicago. Ben Johnson has made improving Williams' accuracy and ball placement a major priority. Williams completed just 58% of his passes last season, ranking last among qualifying quarterbacks. Throughout the offseason, coaches evaluated virtually every throw, and the chemistry between Johnson and Williams appears strong, which should encourage Bears fans entering year 2 or year 3 of the quarterback's career. Elsewhere, the Lions are seeing Penei Sewell evolve into the unquestioned leader of their offensive line. At just 25 years old, Sewell is already becoming a foundation of Detroit's locker room, but new coaches are starting to establish their identity as we head into summer camp.
Yeah, several new coaches and coordinators have already left their mark. Buffalo's Joe Brady is bringing a much different atmosphere than Sean McDermott did in upstate New York. Players have embraced his relaxed style with team building competitions and a lighter environment becoming the norm. The question remains whether Brady can balance being a player's coach while maintaining discipline in that locker room. In Baltimore, offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, has wasted no time demanding accountability, despite being only 1 year older than Lamar Jackson. Doyle has challenged his quarterback and veterans alike. And in Dallas, they are also excited about first-time defensive coordinator Christian Parker. Early reviews suggest communication issues that plagued the Cowboys last season have already immensely improved.
Young talent is making a lot of early impressions. Several young players turned heads this spring. Denver's addition of Jalen Waddle has energized the Broncos offense. Coaches already excited about how he can elevate Bo Nix's development when Bo Nix, in fact, comes back from a brutal injury last year in the playoffs. In Cleveland, rookie receivers Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion impressed throughout practices, providing hope for an offense that desperately needed playmakers. Miami is counting on year 2 breakout for defensive tackle Kenneth Grant to improve on one of the league's worst run defense. And in San Francisco, the rookie linebacker Jaden Duggar has emerged as a dark horse to contribute immediately thanks to his size and athleticism. Seattle's running back situation has become one of the more fascinating competitions in the league, with rookie Jadarian Price and George Holani battling to replace much of Kenneth Walker's production. But contenders starting to fine-tune for another run as we take a look at defending Eagles, or actually a couple of defending champions ago, Philadelphia Eagles receiving good news this spring.
Yeah, their offensive line is healthy and adapting to a more wide zone scheme under new coordinator Sean Mannion. Lane Johnson and company believe the change could spark an offensive resurgence for the Eagles. In Green Bay, starts
12:25 on a Friday. Getting into a fun weekend against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Should have a fun time coming up this weekend. How about this chat in the YouTube? From a Tennessee volunteer himself and a San Diegan out there in Tennessee. That'd be good old Jake Northrup. Tennessee football in the transfer portal could be a reality TV show. Yes, it could, Jake. Absolutely. One of my brother's friends from college. San Diegan, St. Augustine High School, now working out in Tennessee. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he still works for the Tennessee Smokies, which might be different now. They moved. Did you know the Smokies moved to Knoxville?
Yeah, they're the Knoxville Smokies.
They're the Knoxville Smokies now. Mm-hmm. They were like in East Tennessee past Knoxville. Now they're the Knoxville Smokies. How do you have, I got to ask this question. When you have, well, I guess they weren't very good last year, Tennessee Volunteer Baseball. But when you have a team as good as Tennessee in baseball and college baseball that like fills the place, I would imagine it's probably difficult to probably get people to go to the Tennessee Smoky games.
Listen, man.
They are the Smokies, though.
Exactly.
They got a sweet man. They're owned by the Cubs.
They do be smoking.
I knew that was coming. You get a foul for that.
He draws the foul.
They do be smoking, really?
I know they're named after the Smoky Mountains.
They do be smoking, he says. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Okay, roster news for the Padres, kind of. They didn't make a roster move, but they did add somebody to their roster, not the big league one. Padres and veteran infielder Luis Rengifo have agreed to a minor league deal according to sources. Rengifo was released by the Brewers this week after he hit .205 with a .254 slug in 57 games. Luis Rengifo is now a member of the Padres organization. Does that? What is that? Are you affected by that? How do you feel about that? Sounds good.
Hold on, let me get in the.
How do you feel about that? He just wanted to show off his casings today.
I don't.
You don't have any feelings about that?
No.
I think it's fine. We'll see what happens. I don't mind adding veteran depth if he wants to. If he starts doing well, and who knows where they send him? But like El Paso or something, it's a solid player,
solid middle infielder for sure. But
maybe he could. Maybe he can turn into OMG.
OMG.
The Mets could probably be using OMG right now.
The Mets don't need OMG. The Mets need an exorcist right now. That's what the Mets need at this moment. They need an exorcist.
All right, we got to get to our World Cup date before we bring on Sammy Lev in the next segment.
Yes, let's do that. All right, so groups D, E, and F are finished.
Foul. Jeez, man. Are you kidding me today? Are you kidding me?
It's a foul out Friday.
God.
It's a foul out Friday.
How many fouls do you have? How many fouls do you have? 3
at least.
I can't get Scrapey in here early. I'm not going to be able to bring Adam in here. You can't foul out. You got to be. You could toe the line, but come on.
I still got a couple, but I still have a couple to give. Group E was the first ones yesterday. We had mentioned that Germany were tied with Ecuador and Ivory Coast had a 1-0 lead over Curacao. That was while we were doing the update yesterday. Those did change a little bit. Ivory Coast clinched their spot by winning 2-0 over Curacao, and Ecuador clinched a spot as well as they defeated Germany with a goal in the 77th minute. With a 2-1 victory. So Germany, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador advance out of Group E. Group F, Japan and Sweden play to a 1-1 draw. Both of those two will play to a 1-2-0 record in the group. In Group F,
Meanwhile, Tunisia drop all 3 of their games as they lose to the Netherlands 3-1. By the way, there were what 12, 14 goals scored yesterday. 6 of the 14 goals that were scored yesterday were scored in the first 10 minutes of their
I believe that because I was walking to dinner last night, like just after Team USA started. They started at 7, right?
Yep.
I got to it's like 7:15. I looked at my phone, and like the Apple, whatever the Apple Sports app, like posted on your lock screen or whatever. I looked at 1-1. USA and Türkiye, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, it
just started.
16 goals last night. 6 of them were scored in the opening 10 minutes. That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Paraguay and Australia, those two play to a 0-0 draw. Australia gets the tiebreaker on goal differential, so Australia is locked in. Paraguay is waiting on the 3 seed. Turkey and the United States, again, we've gone over that. Turkey wins 3-2. On a last-minute goal, 9 minutes, 90th minute plus 8 on that one. Coming up today, started a half hour ago, so I'll put those on. France versus Norway, Senegal versus Iraq. That is group, what do I have on there? That's group H. Taking a look, trying to getting those. I thought there was at 1 again. France is currently beating Norway 2-1 at the moment. Erling Haaland is not playing today for Norway, and Senegal currently leads Iraq 1-0. So 2-1 France, 1-0 Senegal,
which puts Senegal in a advancing spot with a win because they are now 7th in the 3rd place rankings out of 8 teams that make it. And 12 out of the 12 total teams in the 3rd place ranking, which is significant because they now jump into the mix, which knocks Scotland out of the mix if these results hold.
Yes. 5 p.m. tonight. The pairing at 5 will be Group H. That'll be Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia. And then Uruguay will take on Spain. So that's your Group H matchup at 5.
A win for Cape Verde would get them into the mix. How many do you get for a draw again? 1?
1 point, yes.
A draw, they might still be on the outside looking in, Cape Verde, because they're at number 10 right now with 2 points total.
Yeah. Cape Verde and Uruguay, they drew against each other. Both of those 2 teams are 0-2-0. So it's, I think that tiebreaker is going to go down to goal differential. Group G will be later tonight. That'll be an 8 p.m. kick. Egypt versus Iran and New Zealand versus Belgium in those groups. So in that group, and then tomorrow we'll give you the weekend preview here. Tomorrow is the last of match day 3 in the group stage. Group L will be Croatia versus Ghana, Panama versus England at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So later starts tomorrow. Group K will be Colombia, Portugal, and Congo, Uzbekistan. Group J will be Algeria versus Austria, and Jordan versus Argentina. That will be at 7. So the games tomorrow will be at 2, 4:30, and 7 p.m. On Sunday, only one match. That will be the first of the round of 32. It'll be South Africa versus Canada. So that is going to be a standalone match at noon on Fox on Sunday. And then when we return on Monday, it'll be Brazil versus Japan. That'll be at 10 a.m. For the round of 32. Germany is still waiting on the 3rd place team from either Group A, B, C, D, or F. That will be at 1:30. And then at 6 will be the Netherlands versus Morocco, with the United States playing Bosnia-Herzegovina on Tuesday. Yes?
Yeah, they play on Tuesday. Yeah. The 3rd place table is chaos.
Oh, yeah.
So Sweden, Ecuador, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Paraguay all have 4 points in the top 4. 5 through 12, everybody's got 3 points with the exception of Cape Verde with 2, Belgium with 2, and Congo with 1. Cape Verde, Belgium, and Congo are all playing still. So 3 points is not safe.
No.
Croatia,
not safe. Well, they get to play. South Korea, not safe. Senegal, not safe. Algeria's got a game to play that can help them out. Scotland, definitely on the outside looking in right now. Cape Verde, Belgium, and the Congo, all playing later on. I mean, this is going to get pretty interesting.
Dembele just completed his first half hat trick, scored in the 7th minute, 20th minute, and now the 32nd minute. Both France and Norway are both in. They're both sitting at 6 points, so really nothing to play for here. But France is leading 3-1 at the current moment. Senegal is scored in the 4th minute, another pre-10-minute goal here for Senegal, and then 9 minutes later, Iraq got a red card. So Iraq down to 10 men right now.
Wow. We will have more of an update in the 1 o'clock hour. Drake Hills will join us on the SDCCU fan hotline then. But when we come back, probably waiting patiently on hold, we're going to have to contact his people, to contact our people, to get him on the air.
You got to really tell Roscoe especially to kind of chill it out.
We will get to Sammy Lev when we come back. He'll join us on the SDCCU fan hotline preview of this big weekend between the Padres and the Dodgers. Braden Surprenant Show, Static Urban Sports Station, 97th at the Fan. College sports may be one step closer to federal regulation. A major bill called the Protect College Sports Act just passed a key Senate committee and could completely reshape the future of the NCAA. Bill would restore some power to the NCAA, enforce spending caps, regulate transfers, and create national NIL standards. But here's the biggest fight. The SEC and the Big Ten aren't fully on board. Why? Because the bill could limit their financial advantages and potentially reshape how television money is distributed. It also aims to stop the formation of a college football super league. So now the question becomes, should the richest conferences decide the future of college sports, or should Congress step in to protect everyone else? Because one thing is becoming obvious, the future of college athletics may no longer be in the NCAA's hands. One of the biggest stories in college athletics this week happened on Capitol Hill. The proposed Protect College Sports Act advanced out of the Senate Commerce Committee with a bipartisan 19-9 vote, moving one step closer to potentially becoming federal law. The legislation, introduced by Senators Ted Cruz, Maria Cantwell, now heads towards the Senate floor, where it would still need 60 votes to pass. The bill represents perhaps the strongest attempt yet to bring order to a college sports landscape that many administrators believe has become increasingly chaotic.
Yeah, the legislation would provide the NCAA with antitrust protections and restore some of its authority after years of losing legal battles. Among the provisions, it would allow the NCAA to limit transfers and eligibility, enforce spending caps tied to athlete compensation, preventing coaches from leaving schools during the season, require schools to preserve women's sports and Olympic programs, create national NIL standards instead of a patchwork of state laws, and it would also provide health protections for athletes. Supporters say this bill would give college sports a much needed bit of stability. Meanwhile, critics argue that it could give the NCAA too much power again and potentially restrict athletes' rights.
You need rules for competition, though.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, I mean, yeah, the grand scheme of things, like a lot of these rules in place in all leagues restrict athletes' rights to an extent, but like there's rules in place for sports that you need. This is not any other business. This is a sports-driven business with competition. It changes the dynamic of things. It's interesting that's like, if that's the biggest argument against it, I don't see how that's going to win out in the grand scheme of things, just as much as we talk about when it comes to the labor negotiations in Major League Baseball. Now, here's where things get interesting, the TV rights and battle over revenue. This is the most controversial aspect of the legislation because it involves television rights. The bill creates a pathway for all FBS schools to pool future media rights together, potentially creating a more balanced financial system across college athletics. Supporters believe this could generate billions and reduce the growing gap between conferences, but that's where resistance begins because the two wealthiest conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, have withheld their support. In a joint statement, both conferences said revisions are still needed before they can endorse legislation. Their concern is simple. They don't want to sacrifice the massive financial advantages they've built through their own television deals. Well, if you're going to sit there and tell me everything about these are student athletes, we got to make more rules about the competition, everything like that, you can't then go on your high horse and then talk about, oh, well, we still want to make as much money as humanly possible. Like, we got to collectively fix all of these problems. You can't pick and choose when you want rules.
Now, as you know, I am an unofficial member of the Big Ten PR staff. This bill needs to go through. I don't care what the Big Ten wants to say. I don't care what the SEC say. This is something that needs to happen, because what you're going to do is you're going to drive a wedge between what the fans of your sport want to see and where the moneyed interest is. It's ridiculous at this point. Can we please just do something, one and singular thing, for the people watching it and not focus entirely on the profit motive? Please, just with one thing. So now what we're trying to do with this legislation here is prevent a super league, a college football super league. Another major component of this bill targets the growing fear of a breakaway super league. The latest version includes language designed to prevent conferences, schools, or even outside private equity groups from creating a separate league outside of the NCAA. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has publicly dismissed accusations that the SEC and the Big Ten are plotting a breakaway, instead arguing that private equity firms represent a larger threat. The revised bill expands its protection.
$12:43 on a Friday, getting ready for a big weekend of Padres baseball. And joining us now on the SDCCU fan hotline is not Big Bang Banking. It's better. The one, the only Padres pre and post game show host, Sammy Lev, joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline to help us preview Padres and Dodgers. Sammy, what's going on? How's your Friday going?
Friday is going well. Happy Friday to everybody out there. I need to know one thing before we get started. Has Frank given his full breakdown on the Carlos Mendoza firing and subsequent Andy Green hiring as the interim manager of the Mets?
Yes.
Has Frank given his breakdown?
Yes. Goodbye. Good riddance. You don't. A monkey can do an MLB draft and trade Freddie Peralta and Brooks Raley. Get rid of David Stearns now too.
You heard it here
There's
first.
your breakdown.
There's your breakdown, Sam.
There you go. There you go. I think a little too late, unfortunately, for the Mets. 13 games below 500, Frank, man. In late June. Jeez.
No kidding.
Are you guys done? You don't get to have those little crash outs anymore. We haven't had a big Frank crash out in a while, Sam. So I'm glad, poking the bear was great. I appreciate that. Now, I do have to ask on a lighter note, more fun note. I filled in for you a couple of weeks ago for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, the Hamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. I've nailed both of those now. Got those locked in the trap. You were officiating a wedding. Two people that I know. It was, I saw some of the highlights on their social media. What was it like to officiate a wedding, Sam?
It was fantastic. It was really, really beautiful. It was really nice. The venue where they got married was gorgeous. It was by Pasadena. I think it was technically Sierra Madre. And it was beautiful. It was a great wedding. It was a great time. Ceremony went really well. I was fairly nervous about it. Not really like the speaking part, but just more the logistics and making sure that everything went smoothly and the vows at the end and, making sure you didn't flub a word, especially towards the end when you're doing those vows and they're taking the rings and saying their I do. So it all went really well and it was a lot of fun. So, and they seemed happy And that's the most important thing. So I appreciate you asking, and it did go very well for Chuck and Susie, yes.
That's great. I mean, there was a couple of times, Frank, Sam texted me, "You good for pre?" I wanted to respond with, "I'm fine. Are you good? Are you going to be able to make it through this? You got all your moving parts." I mean, officiating a wedding is kind of like all the same moving parts you'd have to do with the pre and the post game show.
Yeah, essentially. And you know what? I would say the hardest part of the whole thing was actually writing the ceremony, because you want to strike the right balance of heartfelt and sweet, but also funny and, serious at times and meaningful. And they wanted it to be kind of light and funny and sweet. So, that made it pretty easy to work with. But I did wonder, even as the day arrived, if I was hitting all the right notes with the ceremony and with, all the different like little funny lines I'd put in there and whatnot. So it was a constant process of taking things out and putting things back in, but I think I hit it just right. So it wasn't really the talking part and the performance aspect. It was more the writing aspect, which I thought was probably the most nerve-wracking thing.
Let's talk about the Padres, Sam. I mean, obviously, the last couple of months have been pretty rough to watch. And it just seems like it's changed a little bit. I think you started to see the change, honestly, the weekend in Baltimore, where you started to see the offense start to come together. They took 2 out of 3. Even though they lost 2 out of 3 to St. Louis, it looked like the offense was doing a lot better in St. Louis. You move on, and, Texas, things did not go how they would like to result-wise. But again, the offense looked like they were finally climbing out of their hole. And then, Monday, I don't treat Monday as like an offensive failure. I know they only scored 1 run. It was the home run by Manny, but I thought the at-bats were patient. They were walking. They were getting guys in good spots. And then, of course, sweeping Atlanta, you got to feel some confidence. But this Padres team, especially from the offensive side of things, Sammy, seem like they're starting to turn around, and they're turning it around at a good time.
Yeah, and you kind of felt the offense starting to come to life during that long road trip, even in Baltimore at the start of that trip. And it hasn't all been one linear line trending upwards, right? They had those 2 days in St. Louis that were really, really bad. And then they bounced back and they end up having a nice offensive weekend in Texas. And then aside from Monday, where they were fortunate to win by a run, 1-0 on Monday, you're right. The final 2 games of the series were really, really nice offensive games. And look, I think it's pretty easy to see why they're scoring more runs. Fernando's been really, really, really good. Not a ton of power, but he is getting on base and he's hitting the ball and he's been really good. Samad Taylor, I mean, make no mistake about it. He's a big reason why this offense has been more productive. I mean, the guy is up there, hitting almost 400 and getting on base a ton and just creating absolute havoc. Manny's been better. Jackson, for the most part, has been better. And that's enough right there to boost this offense in a significant way. So, I don't think it's the type of thing where it has to be this, straight upwards line as far as a trajectory. But when you zoom out over the course of, now a 12 to 15 game span, there's no doubt they've been way more productive. And they're going to have a major test now over the course of the next 10 days when they play the Dodgers 7 times and they're going to face good pitching. And you hope that what we're seeing is the start of this offense coming to life in a major way throughout the rest of the year and not just a 12, 15 game stretch. And, we're going to find out as we head towards the All-Star break.
We're talking with Sammy Liv, pre and post game show host of the San Diego Padres, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Big weekend series again against the Dodgers. I do want to talk about Walker Buehler in a second because he's going tonight against LA. But this series, like I know Ben mentioned on the round table, I agree with it. It's an important series because it's the next series for this team, and they got to try to rack up wins. I mean, it seems like the Cubs series next week seems a little bit more important considering the circumstances. It's going to be fun. I don't want to say it's not an important series, but I just feel like with this Padres team, it doesn't seem like there is this much of the distractional hype around the Dodgers series that we're used to seeing, which I think is a pretty good step in the right direction for this organization.
Well, quite frankly, Braden, and this is not a dig at the Padres, but there shouldn't be. They're 9 games out of first place.
Right.
Okay. When they faced one another in May, that was, I think it was May 18th to May 20th. I mean, they were right with each other in the standings. And there have been series throughout the last couple of years where these teams have been really close in the standings. It's not that way right now. And I'm not saying it can't get closer. Look, you go and you play really well in these 7 games against LA by the end of next weekend. Yeah, you could make up a ton of ground. It's a wonderful opportunity to make up ground in this division. But the Padres are 9 games out. So I say that to say, yeah, I don't think you should be looking at this if you're the Padres or even a Padres fan as, oh, here come the Dodgers. Yes, it's a rivalry. Yes, we know it gets emotional. I get it. But for this Padres team right now, they're just a really good team that's next on the schedule, just like the Braves were and just like the Cubs will be coming up. You got to find ways to play well and win games for the sole reason of you want to play winning baseball. And I think from a wild card perspective in particular, there are a lot of teams hovering around those wild card spots. And, they have a stretch anywhere close to, what they had in May. And you could very quickly find yourself 4 or 5 games out of a wild card spot. So I don't look at it as, okay, this is a huge series because it's against the Dodgers. I look at it more of it's a huge series because I think with this stretch of baseball and the teams they're playing and the lack of off days, this is just a very, very important stretch for this team. Any way you slice it. And, to me, it's more about the Padres and how they play rather than who the opponent is. Look, I think it would be a little bit of a different story if the division race was closer right now, but it's not. So the Padres got to look at themselves and focus on themselves. That's the way I would handle it.
Let's talk about Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler's going against his former team now for the second time. He did it in Boston last year, but during spring training, you heard him say, "This is the best my elbow has felt. It's the first time I don't feel pain in my elbow." He's now reinvented himself as a pitcher. In his last 4 starts, he has a sub-2 ERA. It really looks like he's building confidence, and he's really embraced this new form of Walker Buehler. I mean, he's a fiery guy. I would imagine he's going to be extra amped up tonight. I don't know if you've been able to talk to Walker about facing the Dodgers because he's going to do it twice now in these 7 games based on how the rotation has been moved around. What is your feeling about tonight with Walker Buehler? And what has he said maybe about facing his former team, a team that he won a World Series with, a team that he dominated with, and a team that brought him up obviously after drafting him out of college?
Well, I will plug that we will have Walker on pregame today. Caught up with him a couple of days ago. So you will hear probably around 6:05 p.m. today here on this station from Walker Buehler. So I would encourage people to tune into our pregame coverage. And we talk about a lot of different stuff. And one of the things we talk about, Braden, is facing the Dodgers. And he said, look, I faced them last year. If there was going to be an emotional outing against them, it would have been last year. And he kind of shrugged it off as far as the emotions of facing the Dodgers. Now, look, I think no doubt, and he sort of alludes to this, and he alluded to it in spring training, certainly, when he first showed up to the Padres clubhouse and he's putting on the brown and gold, I think it was a little weird for him. But the reality is he's now been a Padre for a few months. He's having success as a Padre, which I think is very, very important. And he alluded to it. He's focused on helping the ball club win, and that's what it's about. So, he shrugged it off and brushed it off and essentially said if there was going to be an emotional outing for him or an emotional aspect to pitching against them, it would have already happened. And, that outing last year for the Red Sox against the Dodgers wasn't great. So, I would think he's still, again, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I would still think somewhere in there's, a little bit of a, hey, I want to pitch well against these guys because I didn't pitch so well against them the first time I faced them last year as an opponent. So, look, he's been remarkable as of late. His month of June, you mentioned it, sub-2 ERA, even going back beyond that. Really, the last 8-9 starts, he has been really good. And there's, I think, a few reasons for that. He's learning more about this quote-unquote new version of himself. He's pitching to both sides of the plate really well. I think he's had a longer period of time to work with Ruben Niebla and this group of pitching coaches. And also there's been uptick in velocity, right? We've seen it in some of these outings. On the whole, he is throwing harder than he was at the very start of the year. So you put all those things together, and I think you talk about a guy in Walker Buehler who is fiery and works hard and cares and also has a great deal of natural ability. And you're seeing sort of this new version of Walker Buehler. And quite frankly, Braden, in the last month or so, he's been this team's best starting pitcher.
Yeah, he has. And I think it's going to be fun to watch tonight at Petco Park. I know it's going to be an electric time. Go hang out with Sammy Lev. Pregame at the Loft will be up there for the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show. Sam, thanks again for the time. I know you got to get locked into some pre and post game show notes for the weekend. We look forward to talking to you next time.
All right, Braden. All right, Frank. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Sammy Lev, you'll hear him coming up later on this afternoon for the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show. We have to take a quick break. We've been a little bit over, but we wanted to get some extra time with Sam Levitt. When we come back, we will talk more about the World Cup. We will dive into some more things with the Padres. Drake Hills will join us in the next hour. A lot to get to still. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show this week. Setting Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
1 o'clock. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll talk more Padres and Dodgers coming up in just a little bit. Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. This came up in a group text yesterday. Let me ask you this question, Frank. Could you name 250 New York Metropolitans of all time? Just not in an order. Just 250 New York
I probably
Mets.
could.
In one sitting?
Oh, no, not in one
It's
sitting,
like it's
no.
hard. You have to try to you would start running out of names. I mean, I could probably do it with the Padres. It would take me some time. So my buddies are doing it in the group chat. We've made it to everybody just throws one in there. You can't repeat.
It's been
Keep the chain alive.
It's been about 24 hours at this point.
Now, a lot of the time is just moving on to different things, right? We're up to 134. Nick Castellanos.
Ain't bad.
What you know about Rondell White? What you know about Josh Bard? Huh? I bet you know nothing.
I remember Josh Bard.
I bet you know nothing about Ryan Buchter.
Your Vitor Alba.
What you know about John Jay? Vitor Alba. That hasn't been added in the group text yet.
Oh, there you go.
The thing is, it's
your next one.
What do you know about San Diego Padres legend Eric Ibar? Kilville Veras.
Jan Hervis Solarte.
What do you know about Damian Jackson? Huh? Wow. What you got on Steve Finley? The ultimate National League West immaculate grid. What can you tell me about Ramon Hernandez? It's great.
Wiki Gonzalez.
What do you got on Scott Linebrink? I'm telling you, you know what? You start getting in a groove. What you know about Fred McGriff? There's so many on there that you could throw on there. I mean, I think I put Ricky Henderson at 120 something. We had to make sure Tony Gwynn was 19.
Yeah, you
given.
have to do that.
That's a given. Eric Owens has already been said on there. What do you know about Eric Owens? What do you know about Christian Villanueva? Mike Piazza? Miguel Tejada?
Vinny Castillo.
Greg Maddux? Kevin Brown? What do you got on John Garland? Edison Volquez? Hey, here's one for you. What you got on San Diego Padres Shane Victorino? Hey, that's a deep cut right there. Deep cut.
Mike Darr, I think, was the first one that Braden posted in the chat.
I put Mike Darr on there. Bip Roberts. Gene Tennis. Goes on and on and on.
Good tennis player?
No. Oh, maybe he is. I don't know. Anthony Rizzo. Andrew Kashner's been mentioned. So anyway, that's just going on. I always have to go back and look. I don't want to be the guy that posts the same one twice. We've gotten up to Corey Spangenberg, 137. Reese Kinnear was 136. It's so random all the time. It's hilarious. It's just random Padre names you grew up watching. You got an O-Dog, Orlando Hudson. I mean, you could probably do it with just shortstops for the Padres organization. Ozzie Smith, Khalil Green, Jason Bartlett, Alexi Ramirez,
Carlos Asuaje, Alexi Amarista,
Eric Ibar. David Eckstein didn't play shortstop, but, you get my drift. Anyway, we'll distract for that. I mean, now we got a bunch of people in the YouTube just throwing out names.
Just helping out.
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely. John Vanderwall. Big one. On the 98 team. Start going pitchers. What you got on with Andy Ashby, Brian Lawrence. All guys that have played. You know what I put for number 100? Just as a joke, it literally happened right when they had the news. Luis Rengifo hasn't played for the Pods yet. Signed a minor league deal, though. Yeah, I love this. Everybody in the YouTubes, I just throwing everybody on there. Wally Joyner, Sterling Hitchcock. Start naming Padres all time.
Ryan
250.
Schimpf's a good one.
Ryan Schimpf is a good one. Franmil Reyes, Hunter Renfroe. These are all more recent ones.
Franchi Cordero.
Nate Colbert. Good stuff right there. Now people are going to be doing that with their friends today at Bubs while they wait for the Padres game to get started. Yeah, Matt Latos. You know, Matt Latos had a cat named Cat Latos.
I mean, you may as well at that point.
Now, look what I started on there. Yeah, both Upton brothers, of course. Craig Kimbrell, certainly Matt Whistler. You know, we could probably list the 250 on the show. I'm not going to do that, though. We're on a roll. Steve Finley already said.
Franklin Roosevelt was a Padre?
Excuse me?
Well, Augie just said FDR was on the team.
Juan Soso. Yeah, Jeff Francoeur. How about that? That's a good one.
When was Frenchie a Padre?
He was a Padre.
Like at the very end, I guess?
Yeah, he was in El Paso, Chihuahua.
At the very
Did you ever see that video of them pranking him in El Paso?
I probably have.
It's so funny. They convinced him that somebody on the team was deaf.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have seen that.
That's when he was going up and down with the Pods back then. What about Matt Stairs? What do you got? An Eric Young Sr. San Diego Padre. Mark Kotze. Yeah, Brent Rooker for like 2 weeks. Jim Edmonds, San Diego Padre. What about Milton Bradley? San Diego Padre. Jay Payton, Mike Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Maben. Dave Roberts. Boo, boo. Which one? There's two of them. Tony Gwynn Jr., of course. What about the Hairston brothers, Scott and Jerry Hairston Jr.?
I like Jerry. He was a good player. Scott Hairston, he was a good player.
You don't like Jerry because he's a Dodger?
No, it's not even
Dodger
that. I was thinking of Scott, and I said Jerry.
What about Chris Gwynn? Carlos Quentin, good one. How many are we at right now? I mean, we're probably just ripping off. We're definitely at enough. Definitely at enough. All right, I wanted to get to, you posted this on our rundown, and it was an interesting article that they interviewed anonymous players, right? There was an anonymous interview about which organizations are respected around baseball, like landing spots and stuff, and which ones are falling behind. It's kind of like the same thing that they used to do with the NFL, right? To an extent. They didn't give grades, did they?
No, they gave numbers. They gave like number scales.
So The Athletic conducted an anonymous player poll asking MLB players which organizations have the best and worst reputations among players. More than 100 players from 23 teams participated, and the results reveal a growing divide in baseball between franchises that invest in player development, resources, families, and winning versus organizations perceived as cutting corners. The biggest takeaway from this article, players do not judge organizations only on payroll. They judge them on whether they feel the franchise is committed to helping them succeed. The bottom five. These are the bottom five, the teams with the worst player reputations. The 5 organizations that got the most negative mentions. Common theme here was ownership investment, player development, analytics, infrastructure, family support facilities, and ability to run talented players into better players. A quote from one pitcher summarized the criticism. Which are the ones that are cheap as bleep? You want to guess the bottom 5?
I'm looking at it right now.
You cheater.
No, it's not cheating.
Colorado, no surprise. Pittsburgh, no surprise. Athletics, no surprise. Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Angels. Here's what they said about the Rockies. Biggest organizational criticism. Lack of modern infrastructure. Players describe Colorado as behind analytically, behind in research and development, lacking player resources, poor at helping struggling players adjust. One player said this about the Rockies. They scout and draft well, but development-wise, there's no R&D. Another major criticism, you're trying to figure it out on your own. The implication, of course, Colorado may identify talent, but they have struggled turning talent into successful major league players. Let me ask this question. Does that lead you to potentially trading for a Rockies player knowing that you could probably get more out of them because they're talented and they're not getting the resources to become better.
From what it sounds like, the Rockies, any Rockies player would be like, "Oh, thank God, please, thank you. Mickey Moniak here would kill.
There are some optimism. They like Paul DePodesta, of course. He's the character in Money. He is the person that is portrayed in Moneyball by Jonah Hill. And they have Josh Burns now over there as general manager. Players have acknowledged that the Rockies may finally be changing the direction. So we'll see. The Pirates are on this list. Players have ownership frustration with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The criticism of the Pirates is not investing into enough into facilities, not providing enough resources, ownership, unwillingness to push toward contention. They just don't want to spend money on anything. However, the perception may be shifting slightly because they have one of MLB's hardest throwing pitching staffs, young talent, improved offense. But can the Pirates convince players they're committed to winning before these young players reach free agency? I think the trade deadline is going to settle that.
Some of these quotes are incredible. They don't want to spend money on anything. It's like fighting tooth and nail to get equipment, to get treatment stuff.
That's basics.
There's a lot of NFL teams that do too. This is why, and again, when we talk about the labor negotiations, I saw somebody lay out exactly how we have talked about it. You and I are for the betterment of the fan viewing experience for baseball, and right now the owner's plans align with creating the best product.
Yes.
But this is the stuff the players are talking about when it comes to they're just trying to save money. I think, obviously, both sides of this negotiations are trying to get the most money for themselves. And they're selfish, both of them. And like they want the most money for themselves. I get it. That's how business and life works. But unfortunately for the players, the owner's idea is betterment. They better the fans a little bit more than the players do currently. But when the players have problems with the ownerships, this is what they're talking about. Just not doing the most basic things that they should be asking for. A's. They're an interesting case. Players recognize the organization is building something, young talent. Nick Kurtz emerging as an MVP candidate, future move to Vegas, but obviously their current situation hurts the reputation. Playing in a minor league facility is not great. Poor amenities, difficult attracting free agents. A player specifically mentioned family concerns. Players do not want to put their families in an environment where they feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, this was one of the quotes here from the article. That's a dumb way to not invest $60,000 a year on like childcare at the field. People won't even consider going there because they're like, yeah, I'm not going to subject my wife and kids to not liking it. They don't treat them well.
Was one of the quotes on the A's.
Lack of spending for the White Sox. Poor technology resources, poor player support. I will say this. I have heard stories about playing in the White Sox organization, and aside from Will Venable, almost like a couple years ago, almost everybody wanted out of Chicago in all levels because of the fact that they did not have player support. Like, one story was one of the minor leaguers was trying to get extra batting practice, and the assistant coaches there, it was like pulling teeth. They were so irritated they had to like help him with extra batting practice.
Bro,
how do you win? I don't like, these are the little things that like you could fix. Like, if you don't have money, fine, but being able to have coaches there that actually want to be there and do their job, that should go a long way. If you have players complaining about, I can't get anybody to help like throw batting practice or put balls in a machine for me because they don't want it, they're too lazy to do it, you're never going to win. It sounds like Will Venable over there is doing the best he can with what he's got. And the players in this article have talked about how they separate Will Venable from the organization's larger problems, which is obviously the ownership. They criticize the lack of spending, poor technology resources, poor player support, as I mentioned before. Quote, the video room is one laptop in a closet.
Yep, I was just about to say it if you didn't.
One laptop in a closet for the Chicago White Sox. That is crazy.
That's insane. These
This
are
is a
professional
major
organizations.
league baseball organization. Video room is one laptop in a closet. Players believe the organization fails to maximize talent. Well, I believe that too. The Angels. Oh, boy.
Can I read the first quote from this?
Yes.
Winning isn't even a top 5 priority.
We did a bit on this.
We did.
We did a bit on this. Oh, no. I bet you I could find the bit. We did a bit on this.
It's unreal. There's not a lot of pitching development that happens with the Angels. The way they handle their minor leagues is weird. You get optioned out of the big leagues and sent to A-ball. They have no idea how to make anyone better at anything, and that's from guys who worked there. They have no idea what is going on. Those are anonymous player quotes about the Anaheim Angels.
Top 10 priorities Angels fans search for, according to Artie Moreno. Number 10, a competitive payroll, but only if the TV deal clears. That was so good. I think we posted on YouTube.
We do, yes.
That's amazing. Amazing. Okay, let's get to the Angels real quick, and we'll take a break. On this poll by anonymous players. The Angels receive criticism despite having more financial resources than several teams. The biggest complaint, they do not develop players. Quotes, winning isn't even a top 5 priority. Quote, they have no idea how to make anyone better at anything. Issues mentioned, pitching development, minor league structure, player improvement systems. This is especially notable because the Angels have had elite talent but have struggled to build sustained success. Could you imagine if Mike Trout was on a team that knew how to do this stuff?
Helped him?
Helped him? You know what? Maybe to Anthony Rendon, maybe he is misunderstood. Maybe he just needed help and wanted help and got so irritated with the Angels that he was like, this is just a job now. I wonder what the players that went and played for the Angels would be like if they were part of other organizations. Could you imagine if Shohei Ohtani? You wonder how much better Shohei Ohtani has gotten with the Dodgers? He's got out of Anaheim. Teams with the best reputations? We'll tell you guys when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. The United States is quickly becoming one of the biggest stories of the 2026 World Cup after crushing Paraguay 4-1. Mauricio Pochettino's squad followed it up with a 2-0 win over Australia and has already secured first place in Group D. Suddenly, fans are beginning to ask just how far this team can go. Meanwhile, France has emerged as the team to beat behind Mbappe. Lionel Messi delivered the first World Cup hat trick of his career for Argentina. Oh, and by the way, broke the World Cup goal record with 2 goals against Austria. And Spain answered critics with a dominant 4-0 victory over Saudi Arabia. Cape Verde continues to shock the world. Canada earned its first ever World Cup victory with a 6-0 rout over Qatar. And Türkiye has become one of the tournament's biggest disappointments after being eliminated without scoring a goal. Knockout stage is approaching, and the drama is only getting started. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is beginning to separate contenders from pretenders. It's been a fun one to watch, Frank.
No, it absolutely has. And at the moment, France is starting to look like the most complete team in the tournament. They opened up with a statement 3-1 victory over Senegal. Their attack looks terrifying. Kylian Mbappe scored twice, and he is surrounded by incredible talent, including Dembele, Desiree Doué, and the bench loaded with young stars. Quite simply, France may have the deepest roster. If they stay healthy, they might be the favorites to win the World Cup trophy for the 3rd time.
Messi and Argentina are off to a dream start. At age 38, Lionel Messi continues to make history. In his 6th World Cup appearance, Messi delivered the first World Cup hat trick of his legendary career as Argentina began its title defense in style. Biggest question surrounding Argentina entering the tournament was whether an aging squad could survive the longer 48-team World Cup format. So far, that concern has been put on hold. Defending champions have looked sharp, and Messi is once again proving why he remains one of the greatest players the sport has ever seen. And Frank, we saw it earlier on Monday. He scored 2 goals against Austria. And of course, the penalty kick, one that he, shanks to the right of the right post. It almost looked intentional, because that would have been the World Cup record goal if he made that. It almost seemed like he wanted to do it in real time. And you know what? Not only did he get one, he got another one in extra time. And Argentina won 2-0 over Austria to take a 2-win lead in the table that they're in.
Yep, absolutely. And Argentina is now also advanced into the knockout stages. So that's very impressive for him. And Messi has scored all 5 goals Argentina has scored. And they have a lot of good goal scorers, including Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan. He's he's a key contributor for Inter Milan as far as goal scoring is concerned. So they've got guys who could score, but it's been all Lionel Messi so far. One thing that this tournament has been, though, is all the United States, not just because they're playing a lot of the games here. Perhaps no team has exceeded expectations more than the United States. After dismantling Paraguay 4-1 in the opener, the Americans followed it with an impressive 2-0 win over Australia, and that was without Christian Pulisic. Mauricio Pochettino's squad has already won Group D and can rest key players heading into the final match against Türkiye, who have already been knocked out of the tournament. This team is playing with confidence, attacking flair, and a style that American fans have rarely seen. The question entering the tournament centered around the chemistry and whether Pochettino had settled on his best lineup. Those concerns have quickly disappeared, and fans are suddenly beginning to wonder just how far this team could go.
I mean, I haven't been on this planet as long as a lot of other people, but this has seemed like one of the best showings we've seen out of Team USA. I mean, and I don't want to, because we always get now in this day and age of like the recency bias. And so now all of a sudden, and you've seen it's been fun, oh, let's go win this thing now. Team USA, it's great in our home. I want to pump the brakes on that, but it's hard to fight some of those urges when you see them play as well as they have. It's not that they're just 2-0. It's the way that they have won and the way that they have adapted and the way that they've led their attack and the athleticism this team has. And the other thing, we talked about it going into this tournament, the experience. They're not only young, they have experience in the World Cup, which I think is going a long way. They have the perfect combination of youth and experience that could get them into the final 8 in this tournament.
Yeah, and this is also bucking a pretty recent trend.
Yes, live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us on Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. Padres, Dodgers. Does 6:45 start today because it's on Apple?
Yep.
Yeah, it's at 5 minutes,
6:45, first pitch. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:45. Gwen and Chris will be coming up next. After our show, we're going to give you a World Cup date here in just a second. But I do want to mention the what we were talking about, the MLB player reputations poll. We talked about some of the negative. Let's talk about some of the positive. Teams with the best reputations. I don't think this really surprises a lot of people. The number 1 on the list was the Los Angeles Dodgers. Is that surprising to anybody? No. Yankees number 2, Cubs 3, Toronto 4, and Atlanta 5. And the common factor for these players on this anonymous poll is they create an environment where players believe they have every resource necessary to succeed. The Dodgers are obviously the gold standard. They have a huge payroll, elite development. They have the money to do everything. They outspend everyone, but they also does smarter stuff too. I think I get so tired of those comments, Frank, because it's a lot easier to do smarter things or intelligent things when you have unlimited funds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Senegal just scored again. Sorry.
Senegal going to advance here.
Squirrel.
I believe they might be up for the third place spot. I don't know.
Yeah, they have now jumped up to the number 5 spot in the third place ranking because of the goal differential is drastically improving.
Yes.
They're actually the highest out of all the teams that have 3 points.
There are 3 remaining. Well, 3-0 right now. I'm not sure what the goal differential was going in. I know they lost the previous
It's currently -1.
Okay, so
I'm
they were
assuming
minus
that's
4.
with this.
They were
Yeah.
-4 going in then.
Let's see if it updates again. I'll let you know. As it stands. We love as it stands. Anyway, back to this. Again, like, it's easier to do intelligent things when you have all the resources to do intelligent things. Family treatment matters more than ever. One of the most interesting findings from this poll is more than 1/3 of the players said how the teams treat family significantly impacts their reputation. Players care about housing assistance, childcare, travel, family facilities, quality of life. This explains why a lot of smaller market teams like the Brewers receive some praise. Players believe Milwaukee creates a strong culture despite not being a top payroll team. When you look at the overall look, though, where the Padres are at, they're top 10. They're number 9 on the list. They got 10 votes on organizations that get, or should I say, that have good reputations. So it's good to see that the Padres are on that list, and we'll see where they move forward from that. I thought that was a very interesting article, to say the least.
Yeah, it's always interesting to be able to get player insight like that. So yeah, I always enjoy seeing that kind of stuff. Stuff you don't see talked about every single day, and just gives you a little bit more insight as to why each organization is the way it is.
When we come back, Drake Hills will join us to give us a World Cup date, if you will, what he saw this past week as we finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan.
One victory lane, climbing out of the truck. Make some noise one more time for your race winner of the Navy 250, Wayne Ray.
Working on getting Drake Hills on the show. We'll get to that if we can here in just a little bit. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Pretty exciting footy going on right now, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Senegal, they're coming out of Senegal and Iraq are coming out of the hydration break. Norway and France are a couple minutes ahead. France and Norway still at that same 3-1 score, and now Senegal leading 3-0 over Iraq at the moment.
Coming up next later on in the World Cup. What did you say? What group we got? You said
we have
that would be the
Group H. Group H will be next. That'll be I believe at 4. Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Hungary, Uruguay, Spain. Uruguay, Spain.
And then you would put, and then Group G is the nightcap.
Yes, Egypt and Iran, New Zealand and Belgium.
Norway just missed a great chance.
They had
what a great save.
They had a penalty kick saved by France earlier as well. I believe this keeper, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look here.
This is for the group, right? This is for the number 1 spot in the group.
Yeah, this is for the number 1 seed in the group, yes.
And I'm pretty sure at this, like Senegal cannot pass Norway in general. So both these teams will advance.
Yeah,
these countries will advance.
Mike Mignon, the goalkeeper for France's club squad, is AC Milan. So he's actually a teammate with Pulisic.
Interesting. All right, since we're still working on trying to track down Drake, let's talk about this series coming up this weekend. Padres and Dodgers, and it's always fun to talk about, and I don't want to overhype it, right? But this is a series that I think pitching matchup-wise, the Padres have a little bit of an advantage, I think, on Friday and Sunday, which is interesting to say the least when it comes to a guy like Walker Buehler, but Sasaki has not been great. Yamamoto has been really good. Emmett Sheehan's not, a world beater. He has shown that he's got some holes there. But if we remember anything from last time, that bullpen completely shut down this Padres offense, which I don't know if that's really saying much. But Padres got to be able to get runs against this bullpen because that has been their biggest asset this season. Yet they were unable to cash in on that last time against LA.
Yeah, and for the Padres, again, the Dodgers really have to understand that they are coming in and facing a different team. Meanwhile, while the Padres may not be up for this series in the traditional Padre-Dodgers sense, they are trying to build as much momentum as they possibly can and are coming off the sweep of a first-place team, and this team looks very different, is playing very different, and can beat you in a very different way than what you saw, what was it, earlier this month when they played each other, or at the middle of last month when they played each other. So there's a lot of difference that this Dodger team is going to see this time around.
Yeah, I think so too. And we'll see what the Padres have in store this weekend. And hopefully they could build off of what happened earlier this week against Atlanta. Because a lot of people talked about it this week with sweeping the Braves. And what's with all the trying to throw cold water on sweeping the Braves? I mean, it seemed to be the narrative the last 2 days. Ridiculous. Was like, oh, well, they're not playing as well. And they have these guys hurt. And so, sweeping Atlanta is really not that big of a deal. And I know Craig Stammen was even talking about that too. I mean, obviously he doesn't want to act like it's the World Series. I think that's fine. And I think he's giving credit where credit's due sometimes. But, Senegal scored again.
Yeah, they just scored a fourth.
They're piling it up. But to go back to the Padres, I know they didn't face Chris Sale. They've done their fair share of facing aces where I don't think the Padres need to apologize for it.
No, not at all. You play who you play when you're scheduled to play them. It's not like they picked and said, "Oh, hey, we're gonna pick to play the Braves now."
Yeah,
it's you play who you play when you're scheduled to play them. And right now, the Braves may not be at their best. don't let that sully the fact that you just swept a first place team and a team that was widely regarded as one of the best teams in baseball all season long.
It's not who you play. It's when you play them. Padres got him at the right time. Now, can they use that to propel themselves against LA? Again, we've talked about this all show. It's an important series because it's the next series, and it's an important series because it is an important stretch. It is not an important series in the sense of us outdoing the Dodgers, right? They have 3 games against LA here. They're going to have 3 against Chicago on the road, 4 against LA next week on the road, and then they come back to take on Arizona and Toronto. And those are also important games. This is an interesting stretch for the Padres in a sense of, and we talked about this earlier on, this is not a stretch for the Padres where they need to win to justify spending at the deadline. This is a stretch for the Padres of they need to rack up wins to make it easier on themselves in the second half of the season. And so it just happens to be that you have to play the Dodgers 7 times. But as we mentioned before, when we look at the wild card standings, and obviously they lost the season series to Philly, they lost the season series to St. Louis. I honestly think that the series next week against Chicago is way more important because you can't lose the season series to Chicago. And I think the Cubs, I know they're beat up. They got Boyd back, but their rotation is really beat up. I would imagine they're going to try to make some trades at the deadline. I think the Cubs are going to survive a little bit more than the Cardinals are. And we talked about the Cardinals schedule. It is brutal. They are playing only playoff teams after this 3-game series against the Marlins, and they're going to play 14 games in 13 days. And then when they come back from the All-Star break, they're going to play 20 games in 20 days with a couple of 5-game series mixed in there because of doubleheaders due to inclement weather from early in the season. So I think the Cardinals are going to start falling back down to earth. Padres have a lot of games in front of them that they can really distance themselves. The only one that's going to be tough is obviously Philly. But, at this point, if you're the Padres, are you kind of hoping that Philly passes Atlanta? I mean, I feel like you do. If you already got 2 wins, you already got 3 wins against Atlanta. It would be nice to win. You win one more game against the Braves, you'll win the season series against Atlanta. And that's going to do that. That does very well for San Diego if Atlanta doesn't win the division, which they currently have a lead in. I feel like right now, Frank, you're kind of hoping Philly overtakes the Braves in the division. If you're a Padres fan.
If you're a Padre fan, yes. If you're a fan of keeping your mental sanity and not hearing a ridiculous buffoon brag that they had the greatest comeback in MLB history, you say no to that.
They're 4 games back of Atlanta. I'm thinking as a Padres fan perspective. I feel like you would want Philadelphia.
I'm just thinking. I'm not even thinking as a Met fan perspective. I'm just thinking as somebody who values their sanity and just
because Philly's just going to brag about their biggest comeback.
Yep. God, yeah. Someone who values their sanity and does not want to be put in a rubber room.
What do you got on the Phillies Yankees Apple TV Plus game in a couple of weeks? You gonna be tuned in for that?
No. Oh,
of course not. Is that the worst matchup of all time for you? Phillies and Yankees in terms of like a hate watch?
Oh, as far as a hate watch, yeah.
No, that's where it goes.
No other matchup?
No.
That you would like not want to see?
Mm-mm.
Phillies and Yankees or any American League Central matchup, what would you rather watch? You love hate watching the Yankees.
For enjoyment of the game, I'd watch any American League Central game.
No.
For enjoyment of the game, yes.
Why? Because somebody has to win, Yankees and Phillies?
Well, no, it's not even that. It's I don't want to watch 2 teams that I hate play each other. It's like, well, why do I care? At least I don't have a rooting interest there. If I'm watching the Yankees tonight, I could at least see the Red Sox beat them.
And then whoever Philly plays this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can watch the other team beat them. I get no joy out of that game.
No joy. No joy whatsoever.
Nope. No fun, sir.
All right, zero fun, sir. There was I did see this today, and I wanted to bring it up. I know it came out a couple of days ago, but I haven't been paying attention to the All-Star ballot. Have you been paying attention to the All-Star ballot?
I saw the last one that came out.
But have you voted, right? Like, have you voted? And like, I just, the Padres had a rough kind of couple of months, and those are usually the months where if you're doing really well, you're voting for All-Stars. But right now, like the All-Star voting, I get why they do it because this is an exhibition. It's not for anything else. And it's a game where you want to have the people playing it that fans want to see. I get the premise of the fan vote. But have you seen the finalists for the National and the American League?
I know. Aaron Judge is a finalist. He's hurt. He's going to miss the game anyway. It's like there are some ridiculous people.
I will get to the American League in a second. But if you look at the National League All-Star finalist, you would think there's 5 teams in the National League.
To be fair.
You gonna play it, or I have to say it. To be fair.
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 Those are only about the 5 teams that are above 500 at this point. At or above 500.
No, because the Mets are on here.
The American League?
In the National League.
I thought you said the American League.
The American League is like 2 teams. I'll tell you in a second.
I thought you said the
National League.
My bad.
I don't really go. First base, Dodgers, Braves. Second base, Braves, Phillies. Shortstop, Nationals, Dodgers. Third base, Dodgers, Phillies. Catcher, Braves, Dodgers. Outfield, Dodgers, Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, Mets, Braves. How many teams is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's 5.
5. There's 5 teams represented in the starters.
Yeah, I know. That was another one. Go Aztecs in the chat points it out. Ha-Seong Kim
was top 5. Yeah, because the Braves fans were voting like crazy.
Bro, in what universe is Ha-Seong Kim this year an All-Star? You can't trust the fans to do anything.
I get that, but also at the same point, like Jake Cronenworth was up for an All-Star vote too because he was the one that is the designated
the
position.
Starter, but he didn't get votes.
I know, but that's your National League. The American League is almost worse because the entire country of Canada votes for Toronto. Listen to this one: the American League finalist. First base, again, I'm just going the team. I know all the players that are listed here. First base, Toronto Yankees. Shortstop, Kansas City, Toronto. Third base, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Catcher, Athletics, Toronto. DH, Astros, Toronto. Outfield, Yankees, Angels, Twins, Yankees, Toronto, Toronto.
Buxton the Twin, I guess?
Huh?
Byron Buxton's the Twin, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are your finalists for the American League All-Star game. They already picked like the highest vote getter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the American League doesn't have second base on there. Ernie Clement got the automatic bid.
Oh, for God's sake.
So,
yeah, Toronto just they don't even get an All-Star break. The whole roster
is going to the All-Star game. They're 3 games under 500. So they already got the second baseman. Ernie Clement will be the starting second baseman for the American League All-Star team.
I have an idea.
Vlad's leading. Okamoto's leading. I don't think George Springer is going to overtake Yordan Alvarez. I don't think Andres Jimenez will overtake Bobby Witt Jr. I don't think that Alejandro Kirk is going to overtake Shea Langoliers.
Kirk just came back from injury.
Yeah, and he's a finalist.
He's barely played this year.
Exactly.
I have an idea.
Can we just have you in the panda hat?
Can we?
It's a raccoon hat. Sorry.
Can
Trash
we
panda.
just have like the top 2 players at every position in WAR go to the All-Star game?
Which war are you using?
Instead
F
of
war or B
fan
war?
votes? Instead of fan votes,
But-
please.
The thing is this is an exhibition game that's for the fans. So it's gonna be a popularity contest. Unless if this mattered for like awards and stuff, then yeah, you could be upset about it. But it's an all-star game that people don't like. A lot of people don't watch anyway.
Squirrel.
Senegal has gone from a -4 goal differential to now a +1.
Yeah, they're +1 on the goal differential.
They just scored against Iraq again. It's 5-0.
They are now the top. They are now the top 3-point getter team on here.
They're most like just put them in. They're in. Senegal is going to save their World Cup with this game.
No, their goal differential just changed to 2.
Oh, okay. So they went from -3 to +2.
Yeah. So now they have, and the next highest team in the World Cup that has 3 points, goal differential is -1. Senegal's advancing at this point. Did Iraq have a red card?
Yes.
No. Well, then
they've had a red card since the 10th minute.
Okay, so they're just no wonder Senegal is just all over it right now.
They only scored 1 in the first half, though.
They have 4 goals in the second half.
Yes.
Wow. All right, let's get to our bold prediction for the day.
Let's do that.
We need to make an open for this.
We do.
Bold prediction for tonight's game that doesn't involve Walker Buehler because we gave our Walker Buehler bold prediction. You can make it for the series too, since we're not on until Monday.
I'll say Padres have a 5-1 homestand.
They can take 2 out of 3
They're
from LA.
going to win 2 out of 3 this weekend.
Okay. I was kind of going that way, but I didn't want to curse it. Although I did hit on the Michael King one this week.
You did hit on the Michael King.
I did have one on the Michael King one this week. Okay. Manny gets the most hits this weekend for the Padres. That's pretty bold. So we'll see how that goes. Dexter in Spring Valley just called in. Dexter, got a little bit of time. What do you got going on for us today?
Okay, 2 real quick. Number 1, All-Star voting. Yeah, it's for the fans. Yeah, it's for the fans of the East Coast teams, mainly, except for the Dodgers, because I guess they still think they're in Brooklyn. And then the second thing is you guys were talking about like deep cut Padres. Well, they're the M&M boys, Carmelo Martinez and Kevin McReynolds. And the one Padre who's dubious in Japan, Bob Ochinko. Bob Ochinko was a pitcher in the mid-'70s for the Padres. When the Padres played in Japan and he started, he went by the name Bob Smith because in Japanese, his last name sounded very similar to a very, very phallic slang term.
Yes.
So he went by Bob Smith while he was in Japan.
Interesting.
So, Gene Tennis, he was a Padre. Terry Kennedy, Conan, he was a Padre. So I could keep going on and on for the deep cuts, but
Dexter, did you get the context of that? My buddy asked if you could name 250 Padres. I think Dexter could.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe we'll see what Dexter's got next week on the 250 Padres. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the games against the Dodgers. Stay safe. Don't cause any ruckus out there at Petco Park. Should be a fun one this weekend. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Quinn and Chris coming up next.
Padres.